Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top. Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
We're all locked in now.
Your home for the best sports radio in Utah is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to kick off your afternoon drive with Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Allow me to introduce the best of the best.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Happy Wednesday to everybody out there. However you may be, whatever we're calling it.
Absorbing?
The show. Online. That's all I'm going to say. On the internet.
Yeah.
In a variety of fashions. Shout out to our friends from the future on the podcast. And our old-fashioned listeners over the airwaves. I can come up with a better nickname for our airwaves listeners. I'll work on it.
Okay. OGs, whatever.
OGs would be better
Yeah.
than old-fashioned. I don't know. Does anybody like being called old-fashioned? I guess some people do.
Christian, what's your most old-fashioned thing that you do?
Give me a minute. I'll get back to you.
I do all sorts of
You are
things.
old-fashioned, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but you're pretty old-fashioned.
No, I lean into my old-fashioned nature.
Mm-hmm. You're not in a hurry to update everything that can be updated.
I'm not out to prove that I'm hip and young. I've never really been out to prove that I'm hip.
Correct.
Oh, I still use Facebook. That's my most old-fashioned
Okay.
thing. Yeah, still use Facebook.
I still play bridge, and Christian's answer is I still play Facebook.
Yeah, right. You don't play Facebook, old-timer, but yeah, you. Yeah.
We're a bridge family.
Yeah.
And my
Okay.
daughter is learning now, so we're
Okay.
going to pass that down the line.
Great.
You?
You know, the things that you might say about me that are old-fashioned are hipster things that have come back, like listening to vinyl. You know, it's like, I don't have an Apple Watch. Now, I did have one and I broke it, so I just didn't replace it, so I will wear an analog wristwatch.
Some of us never stopped listening to vinyl. Thank you
right.
very much. Yeah, okay. Well, I would throw that in the old-fashioned category, listening to vinyl.
But even then, it's because, for whatever reason, it's become cool again.
You were probably too young for this, but when I was in high school, swing dancing made a serious
Cottonwood Mall
comeback.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, who was the Zoot Suit Riot guy?
Yeah.
And like a couple of other bands all of a sudden are playing
Yeah.
swing music.
The Cherry Poppin' Daddies, there were.
And it turned into this whole thing. Like if you were going to go on a date at Skyline High School in 1997, you were going swing dancing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Such a weird thing. I wouldn't hate it if Zoot Suits came back.
I would. I mean, that's what we were making fun of Cam Newton for wearing.
True. No, that's a good point.
Yesterday.
That's a good point.
So I don't need that.
Give me an excuse to bust out my tux.
You should just wear it every
Dude.
once a month. Just pick a random Thursday.
Have you ever tried to put something into the culture? Like tried to start a trend or something like that?
Like that?
I think that should be Christian's attempt.
Just
like walk around
casual
town
tux?
in that tux.
Tux
I
guy?
mean, yeah, like wear it over to Crown Burger. You know, wherever you go, oh, that's the tux guy. Kind of like the weird elf guy at the Jazz games.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could maybe pull it off.
How long until other people start catching on?
You mean start mimicking you, or
Yeah, well-
see that you're wearing a tux?
Mimic is like
Emulating?
Yeah. How long until I could get other people to wear tuxedos to Crown Burger?
It wouldn't happen.
You'd have to really keep it up.
And then you turn into the elf guy at the Jazz games. Like, there's not other people wearing elf costumes at
Have
the
I?
Jazz game.
You guys know that story, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you know that story where
Do you know who the elf guy is at Jazz
Yeah.
games? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I saw that dude at brunch once a few years ago, just brunch, hanging out with the fam, having a little brunch. And the elf guy walked in dressed as the elf guy. I wouldn't have known who he was, but he's dressed as the elf guy. And I was like, oh, he's really leaning into this character he created.
We've been doing this time slot since April 20th. We're going on, 4 months? May, June, July. 3 months.
Uh-huh.
One of our earliest bits, I think people have been listening to us now long enough in this time slot, recognizes be careful what you get famous for. And again, the elf costume is the ultimate Gene Simmons. Like, congrats, now you got to paint your face and have the long tongue every time you go out. I actually think that was just Gene Simmons' tongue. I don't think he's wearing a prosthetic.
He's a rock star.
He is.
This is like a super fan. He could easily take the elf thing off.
Correct.
At brunch, for example.
Right. Yes.
Like there's known fans out there. I get it. People are out there to get some attention. Clipper Darrell, does he have a costume? I don't think, does he?
Yeah, he wears weird suits, right? He wears weird, like Clippers themed, like Clippers lining in some of his suits. Not always, but.
Who was the famous Donks fan, Christian?
Wore a barrel?
Yeah, the
barrel guy?
The barrel guy?
Yeah.
Or what, Fireman Clark in New York, the fireman, whatever it is. When those guys go to like barrel guy goes to brunch, is he rocking the barrel?
Yeah, I hope he takes the barrel off. Pretty impractical to sit anywhere with the barrel on.
I mean, I don't. Would he have the impulse though?
Who was the first guy who thought I can't afford clothes, but if I strap some suspenders on this barrel, it'll be just fine.
Oh no, I'm sure that was a prove how tough you are thing, right?
You think that was always a gag?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think anybody, Dolce & Gabbana wasn't throwing out their latest barrel.
I was literally talking to my mother this morning about the Depression and how her grandmother used potato sacks to make dresses out of. There weren't textiles around. You didn't have a lot of access to fabric. So people in the Depression, because people are amazing, just made do with what you had. You had to get whatever delivered in your burlap sack, and then you turned your burlap sack. You found a second use for it. We don't think the barrel was someone aging whiskey or whatever.
Doubled up his pants? No.
Well, I can't afford clothes, but I got a couple of leather straps I can put on this barrel and wear it out.
No, I mean, if you really want to go down that angle, I could see it as no.
Did you see what Dale wore to work today?
No, I don't think so. I think it always
had
to
a barrel on.
It's always had to be a gag.
A pair of suspenders.
But I don't think he was wearing that at brunch. I don't think Clipper Darrell is. Maybe Clipper Darrell's wearing the suit at brunch. I don't. Is he really? I wonder if he signs autographs.
Mm-hmm.
The Jazz #1, I would say, celebrity fan, not Wilford Brimley, like celebrity who's a fan, but celebrity fan was the Doctor, and he has since passed, I believe. I don't know. Oh, then there was the grandmas. Mm-hmm. Remember them in the pink?
They have both passed.
They have both passed.
There was also the guy who always wore the pink shirt, sat at the mid-court line, 50-yard line, like 13 rows up.
Now, are we stuck with either the elf guy or the two idiots in the two small uniforms that dance around? Is that what we're left with now?
I do think, it's funny, I got asked this on my podcast yesterday.
About weird fans?
Do you know have you ever seen the Utah Jazz history girl on social media, on Twitter? She just she has some connection to somebody. She's a big Jazz fan. She has collected a bunch of memorabilia. She knew the old Jazz barrel, so has recently passed away, John. She just has some connection. And their question in the mailbag was are those fans serving a purpose? Do they fill a value for the team? And I said, I guess in a sense, because you know who Clipper Darrell is. You know who the fireman is. You know who Christian's barrel friend is, who watches the donkeys. The donks, as you like to say. There is some inherent value, I guess. The doc had some value. I mean, we just talked about Ben Stiller for 2.5 months instead of doing playoff coverage. We argued whether Ben Stiller was famous or not.
The answer to your question is undeniably yes. Yes, those people, those two. Listen, the fans matter more than everybody else. We forget about it. The fans actually matter more than the players.
They're the reason they
believe
exist.
it or not.
Yeah.
The fans matter. And so often the fans are treated like they don't. But, hey, it's not my responsibility to elect their standout fans or whatever, you know. But they create the environment and the character that actually is the team.
You're right.
Does that make any sense?
100%.
Players come and go, front offices come and go, owners come and go. But the fans always remain consistent. And Utah Jazz basketball wouldn't be Utah Jazz basketball without the environment created at Delta Center by Weird Elf Guy and the two small jerseys and the grandmas and the doctor and everybody else. Absolutely. And shout out to John, the bear, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And as hokey as I find a lot of it, do you remember the cameraman that used to put the horse head on? You know, as I just find it silly, but it is what makes that environment. I mean, you can put in a zillion lights and boards and all these things to create a fan experience, but the actual people are the ones who create it. And I think the Mammoth are proving that concept from like ground level, you know, like the Jazz in 1985. It's the Mammoth. They're creating the environment. They're going to have their idiot standout fan surface soon enough. And the Zamboni, what is it? The Mamboni?
The Mamboni.
What are we calling it?
It's the Zamoth.
The Zamoth?
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it, right?
Absolutely.
So yes, those people do matter. As weird as it is that I think that the elf guy, that I think it is that the elf guy went to brunch in the elf costume. Whatever, he's got value. Absolutely.
I said the same thing. I couldn't put a dollar amount on it, and I think that's kind of the question. You know, Jazz Nation News, who aggregates every piece of jazz news that comes out anywhere, comes out from KSLSports.com, Trib, Dez, whatever we do, the podcast, whatever, fans. They aggregate everything. They put it on their social media. That is a role. It does expose a lot of casual fans who don't have the time or money to be able to invest their entire life into following the Utah Jazz. That gives them a touch point. I said that does have value. And this is not to degrade anybody, including Utah Jazz History Girl, Jazz Nation News, the Doc, whoever, all these fans we're talking about. I said the one thing that you have to realize, which I think you certainly have a very good sense of, not everyone in the media does, I think you and I both do recognize it, is those fans, just like us, are infinitely replaceable. That doesn't mean what you're doing is not of value. But Jake, if you leave, the Jazz will get somebody else to do a pre-half and post-game show.
I would assume they wouldn't retire the job. No.
But when the Doc, rest his soul, was the Jazz fan, he passed away, and the next year somebody sat in that seat and the team played another season. So while there is value, and they do certainly craft the culture, shape the culture of the team, nobody is irreplaceable. I mean, the players aren't irreplaceable. The coaches aren't irreplaceable. So in that sense, while there is certain value, it doesn't mean irreplaceability.
But fans, and this is the big fear of teams, right? Fans as a whole are not replaceable. Correct. And there is a certain mob mentality to it in a positive and a negative. See the New York Jets, that it can really spin out either way on you, and that's why franchises have to be uberly careful, because fans are important and they are what matter. Those people that you're mentioning, us for that matter, we have an audience because of the team. Now, what do we do with that? Or not audience, that's not even what I'm looking for. Audience is something a little bit more personal, but we have interest because of the team, or because of the Mammoth, or because of sports in general. And then I guess it is what you do with it. But is anybody bigger than in radio? Is anybody bigger than the topic?
No,
nobody.
Absolutely not.
Rush Limbaugh was not bigger than politics.
Correct. He was a gateway.
And he used it, and it was the reason he had an audience, which is why I'm saying it's a little more.
Yes.
There's next level to it, but he was never bigger than the subject, than what was the reality of what you were covering. New York Times is not bigger than the news.
Correct. It exists because of the news.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a delicate relationship. That's why I think that credibility is, as far as we're talking about our radio audience, I would like to think that our audience doesn't expect you or me to be right all the time, probably not even close, but we have credibility in our honesty.
Certainly not listener from the future, Jared, who listens at the gym
Right.
now.
I mean,
and says it's crazy how often you guys are wrong.
yeah, it happens.
Apologies.
But I'm not coming on and being dishonest.
No.
I mean, I'm coming on and putting on a show, but I'm not out to, to represent anybody but you, Christian, myself, and to a lesser extent, Salazar, But we are not bigger than the Jazz, as much as I'd like to think that, or bigger than the Mammoth or RSL or the sports culture here in Utah. There would be another afternoon drive show after we somehow get fired.
Our mutual friend and my former mutual co-host, Kyle Gunther, who was in a lot of ways a star. He was kind of a radio star. He was a big personality. He was unique. At times I don't want to say shtick, that sounds demeaning, but his opinions were by themselves a draw. He was the first person to instill in me, remember, the team is the star. Whether you're talking about BYU football, the Utah Jazz, the NFL, whatever it is, that is the star of the show. Even though Kyle himself was such a big personality and unique, he certainly recognized this doesn't exist without that, the sport. And certainly I think that, going back to our conversation about the value of fans, the fans have to be there. The fans are still not bigger than the team as individuals, but certainly the fan base as a whole is the reason the team does exist.
Yeah, and the connection that fans have with sports and with their teams is the ultimate free marketing tool. It really is. Coming back to, do the talk snap people have value? Yes. Do the other fans have value? Yes. Here, I'll give you a funny example. In the Outer Banks, there's this drive-through convenience store. So you don't get out of your car, you just drive through it. You can buy beer, wine, soda, whatever, like a drive-through 7-Eleven. It's called the Brew-Through. And every year they do a new T-shirt. And they market themselves as the world's coolest convenience store. And I have bought a Brew-Through T-shirt for 30 years. Every single year for 30 years, to the point that before my wife and I got married and we were just dating, she's like, all you have is Brew-Through shirts. It's like, yeah, kind of. Do you know, I often wonder how much interest has me wearing a stupid shirt created in this convenience store? Not much, but some. I'll give you a couple examples. At least a dozen times. Here in Utah and across the country, I have had somebody come up to me and say, you know about the Brew-Through?
Yeah.
My other example, we went out there with some friends a couple of years ago. First thing they wanted to do?
Go to the Brew-Through.
Know what they went home with? Brew-Through
shirts.
T-shirts.
Yep.
And you're just a fan of the concept, and it becomes cool or whatever, and all of a sudden I'm wearing T-shirts marketing a stupid convenience store.
Yeah.
But sports is the ultimate of that.
The perfect example.
And to the Jets, they have treated their fans like garbage. Garbage for years. And somehow there are still Jets fans. Somehow. Now, there could be way more Jets fans if they happen to be a little better. But somehow Kevin Graham is still rooting for the Jets.
Right.
It's a wild thing. And it's the reason that sports franchises are so valuable. And unfortunately, it's the reason that college football teams are so valuable. Because there's just not another product in the world that commands that kind of loyalty from large groups of people. There's just not. Maybe soda companies come close. But, I mean, we could think of some other products out there. Politics is a different animal because
it is.
This is my bleeding. It shouldn't be that way in politics, and it certainly ends up that way. But other brands out there that just command, like if PlayStation, here's my old-fashioned take for you. If PlayStation creates a bad product, you're just going to buy an Xbox.
Yeah, and that actually is exactly what happened. Xbox briefly took the lead. Their latest generation stunk. The PlayStation 5 is very good, and PlayStation 5 just won. It's where everyone went.
And I'm sure there are some weirdos out there, because I remember this with the, what was after the Sega Genesis? It's like the Sega CD or something.
The Saturn.
And people were just like, no, I'm staying with my Sega. But the rest of the world went over to Nintendo.
Whatever,
right. And it just in sports, it's just so much more loyalty and so much more passion and so much more willingness to spend gobs of dollars and spend hours of time consuming in a variety of different ways. And God bless it. I love it.
It's a great product.
It is a great product.
Yeah.
It's a unifier.
Win or lose, it's a great product.
For the most part, it's positive unless you're talking about Draymond Green or something. You know, everybody, it gives you, I mean, I've talked about this a million times, but do you know how many weird lawyer events I've had to go to where the only thing I have in common with the people I'm talking to is
sports.
Oh, yeah. You saw that the other day? Oh,
Yeah.
You know, people, honestly, I don't often like talking what I do for a living, but in those types of events, I'm excited when people find out what I do for a living because all of a sudden, instead of like, well, the weather was pretty hot today, we at least are talking about something that I can pass the time. At least I could be like, oh, yeah, I didn't see that third down. Oh, it was really simple. Oh, you're a Weber State fan. Oh, how that Eric Kerr, he's really changing things up. Whatever it is. I told you at the Women Lawyers of Utah event, I ran into Big Con, who was Robert Conley, whose wife is she's a big deal attorney.
Oh, is she?
And so it was fun. Speaking of our friend Kyle Gunther, we just swapped Gunther stories the whole night. But it was funny to see him in the same boat I was, just out on like where you'd picture us to be too, like out on the patio.
Yeah, right. Leaning against the wall,
away from everything.
Yeah, we're out on the balcony,
slightly intimidated by everybody in the room.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That was us.
That's great.
It was like, hey, Big Con, you want to talk some football? Kyle Gunther was an interesting guy, huh?
Yeah.
Like, what time is it?
Yep. No, I'm totally with you.
But no, shout out to those fans. And hey, listen, I'm not a social media talk snap person, but lots of people are, and it's a way to communicate. And every time one of those person talk snaps something about the Jazz, because they are such big fans, the Jazz benefit 100%. Have that weird elf guy has value.
They spend a fortune. The Utah Jazz spend a fortune to exist and get so much free advertising. Still, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good, and good for them. Sports
Yeah, absolutely.
is great.
Sports is one of the great things about the world, and everyone participates in some type of sport, but our country.
I guess long story short, I wish people would pay more attention to the fans. Maybe not the elf guy, but maybe, your normal fan could get a break once in a while.
Yeah.
Because people are mining that passion. And if we could find a way to get people in the building sometimes for, a reasonable
Less
amount of
than
money,
$95
which they do.
per ticket.
By the way,
They
they do plenty of community programs and all that. Our guy Nate Martinez in the Junior Jazz program,
Yes.
they told me how many tickets they give away every year, and it's wild. So it's
They do.
It's not like they don't put an effort into
Sure.
it, but I do think the fan gets priced out of it a lot, and it stinks.
Yeah.
I mean, heaven forbid you just try to watch your NFL on TV. How many different streaming services do we remember?
No, it's crazy. I mean, the NBA, Prime, NBC, Peacock. I know those are tied together, but sometimes they're not on both. But some are on NBC and some are not on NBC, and you have to watch on Peacock specifically. ESPN. I think there's one more that I'm missing.
Did you say Prime?
I said Prime first, but there's at least four, and I think, plus NBA TV, and then maybe whatever if you have a regional sports network.
Jazz Plus.
Sure. Yeah, it's a lot. That's tasking people with a lot.
But they will pull out their wallets. Last example. During every single dispute for DirecTV or Dish Network, what do they rally the sports fans?
Yes, they do.
They're like, you're not going to get to watch your team.
No one's like, can you believe you're not going to watch Real Housewives?
Dude,
give us a call. It's always your sports team.
Your Matlock fans aren't picking up the phone and hollering. They are passionate, though.
They are, but there's so few.
Isn't there a Matlock reboot?
I believe there is. No, there's a Murder, She Wrote reboot.
I think there's a Matlock one, too.
Yeah.
Hollywood has totally run out of ideas.
Out of ideas.
Although the Perry Mason reboot on HBO was pretty good.
It was good. It was dark, but it was good.
It was. We've been all over the place here. Shout out to the fans. Shout out to our great listeners.
So I shouldn't wear the tux to Crown Burger?
You should.
Oh, okay.
If you're trying to get it to catch on. Jamie Lee Curtis will be the new Angela Lansbury in Murder, She Wrote.
Wow, well cast.
That's a good get. I bet it's a miniseries, I would suspect.
No.
Oh, it's a movie. It's not even a TV show. It's a movie.
Okay, it's What You Got Wednesday. Movie stars transition to TV roles.
Okay. not the other way around.
No, because it's way more common now. TV
It is,
used
you're
to be
right.
taboo. Nobody,
Yeah, right.
no big stars were doing TV. Now big stars are doing TV constantly. We were talking about Christian's favorite Annette Bening the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, 98. Annette Bening's not being caught dead on a TV show.
Ed Harris.
Absolutely.
Now we may never catch Ed Harris on another TV show because they're writing him out of his performances.
But like Kevin Costner's transition to the Yellowstone guy, pretty good.
Yes. Oh, it's glamorous. It's a pretty glamorous role now.
Yeah.
You can do glamour TV.
All right. We'll chop that up.
Matlock reboot is a gender-swapped legal drama starring Kathy Bates.
Another one.
Yeah.
Her name's not Ben, though. Because that was
Ben
his
Matlock.
name. Ben Matlock,
No,
wasn't that
no.
his name?
Yeah, it was his name.
Good pull by me. I haven't thought about Ben Matlock in
You know
years.
who had a good career was that Andy Griffith.
You think?
Because he went from the Andy Griffith show, and then he did Matlock forever.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen an episode of Matlock, Christian?
No.
Do you know the concept?
No.
Oh, it's great. It's a courtroom drama.
It's kind of a courtroom drama, and he's also, for whatever reason, does a little investigative work. He's like also
Because
kind of.
isn't he a small town attorney?
It's a small town attorney, but he's also like solving crimes while he's doing the Law and Order thing.
It's great.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's like kind of a private investigator.
Dude, the old Perry Mason was good too.
Yeah, it was.
Shout out to Raymond Burr.
Yeah.
My mom still watches that because it comes on some channel, you know, all the zillion channels.
One day
get
we
these
should just
days.
draft old TV shows.
Oh, man. We could do that.
Yeah.
Do enough people know, though?
Well, Christian
And
doesn't. Apparently, Christian's not heard of Magnum PI.
Yeah, what constitutes old?
Well, yeah, I don't think it can have been on TV with new episodes like in the last 15 years.
Oh, that's basically new. That's like fresh produced.
Well,
You're throwing like I don't even. You're throwing like The Office in there.
Sure, right. That's too new. Maybe
Right.
it has to be pre-2000.
Something.
Yeah,
Like
that
that.
was 26 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I was born in 1986. If you said 26 years before that, that would have been every TV show before 1960, which, yes,
I know.
feels very old to me.
It should.
So if we go back to the 90s, I think that counts.
Ben, you're 40.
I know.
I hate to
I'm
bring
washed.
it to you. Yeah.
I'm washed.
You're not washed. Listen, you're just, you are who you are. It's okay. It's all right. No 20-year-old ever looked at any 40-year-old and said, God, that guy's cool.
Guy's cool.
That never happened ever.
You know who's cool? That guy, that 40-year-old.
So the sooner people of our age, and yes, we are in our 40s, start realizing that, the better.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Christian can still pretend to be cool.
He is.
I don't know if Christian's ever been cool, but he can at least pretend. He's young enough to pretend.
He wears that tuxedo all the time, trying to look cool.
I was 20 and looked at a 25-year-old and was like, that dude's pretty cool.
Yeah. But there is a line where you're like,
Yeah.
someone X amount of years older than you is no longer cool.
Dude, we crossed it. And it doesn't mean that we can't communicate with the younger people.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't be a phony. They can spot it from a mile away.
Yep.
Stay tuned. More next. Most random segment in radio. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You know what they say, 4 wheels move the body, but 2 wheels move the soul.
Poetry, mate.
But don't think my motorcycle or my soul will be moving anytime soon. Got a flat tire.
Ah, that's all right. You ride with Geico Motorcycle Insurance and got their 24/7 emergency roadside service. They'll get you back on the road.
Ah, beautiful saying. You come up with that?
It's not a saying. It's a Geico motorcycle policy.
Tomato, tomato.
It feels good to ride with help. It feels good to Geico. Emergency roadside service is optional coverage.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. It is time for the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, what have you curated for us today?
Number 1, BYU's Ephraim Asiata was charged with DUI, among other things, this morning.
Reading right from the report, suspicion of drunk driving under the influence and providing false identification to a police officer. let's see here. Quote, BYU had a statement, said, quote, "We are aware of the situation and it is currently under evaluation by the university." He was pulled over. Apparently, Ben, this happened a while ago, July 2nd. Two other people were in the vehicle. He identified himself by JF, apparently at some point handing over documents that were not his. A deputy reported smelling alcohol in the car, noticed his red glassy eyes. He took a sobriety test and failed. And a portable breath test was administered showing a blood alcohol content of 0.087.
Okay. So he was over the legal limit. This was not just an underage person drinking.
Yes.
How old he is.
After his arrest, deputies obtained a warrant for blood and urine samples, and a urine sample came back positive for alcohol and for THC. So that is what we know.
Okay, not great for BYU. Somebody who they could probably love to see step up. Not that linebackers have ever really been an issue for BYU. Finding the right linebackers to step in, though. And, I mean, what do I need to get up here and tell you? Don't drink and drive, don't smoke weed and drive, or whatever his issues allegedly are. And, yeah, this stinks. This is too bad for him. Crummy for BYU. I do think the linebacker room is going to be interesting for BYU without Jack Kelly now, and which direction they go and where they find success and how that looks. That's one of the areas where things could look significantly different, because the defense will feel different because Jay Hill is no longer there, and we will see how your guy going to be golden. K-Pop does.
Always with these stories, Christian and I were talking off the air about how fans of opposing schools or whatever will take these kind of stories and spike the football, so to speak. And I think it's always healthy to remind people that Ephraim Asiata has made a really bad decision, and he's going to pay the consequences for that bad decision. And I feel for him because he's going through it, and he has a lot to lose, and now we'll suffer those consequences. So I just use these as a reminder to remind people we got to make good decisions, but people do fall short. And this isn't good. I'm not excusing anything. I'm not trying to anyway. But I do feel for people who make mistakes.
It's a young person making a mistake that not just young people make. Lots of people make this mistake. And, yeah, obviously don't do it. And obviously Ephraim Asiata kind of came into the spotlight after getting shot when he was 15 years old in that horrendous shooting where two of his friends died. I mean, this has been a tough life for this kid. So I'm rooting for him to be okay.
BYU's linebacker room will be fine because BYU's linebacker room is always fine, and whatever. I would guess if we talked to the coaches today about Ephraim Asiata, they would be concerned for him as a person. So let's just remind, we talked about the passion fans have for sports. It's because fans often view it as a TV show and forget that they're real people. Yeah, he played for BYU, but let's not be celebrating a bad situation.
Again, because of what has happened to him and happened to him when he was still in high school, this is not the worst day of his life, but this is certainly not a moment certainly he's proud of.
No.
And yes, to your point, what do we need to spike the football on him, dunk on him?
No.
That's not going to do anything. You know who I suspect is extraordinarily well equipped to help in this situation? Mr. Kalani Sitake. That is a very good person. That's a good man. That's like a guy who's going to know how to probably show you some tough love, but also some tenderness when you need it, because it seems like Kalani's done that with every single person he's ever come across in his life. So I hope this has a good ending.
Yeah.
This stinks for this kid.
Too.
It stinks for BYU. It would stink if it was at any school. So hope things turn out well for him as a person in general.
Agreed.
And then this situation, and he can move past it. And also, I hope he gets room to move past it.
Yep.
I hope people give him space to grow up.
Totally.
Yeah.
And on a day like today where the news breaks, and I'm sure he's doing his best to avoid it all, but tough.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
Number 2, The Athletic put out an article yesterday ranking college football teams by their valuation. He has Utah as the most valuable team in the Big 12.
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting article.
So I purposely didn't read this, and I can explain. I could explain to you why, but explain it to me, because maybe I'm wrong.
Essentially is if you had NCAA football teams on the market the way you could an NFL team or an NBA team or whatever, how much would they be worth? What would they sell for based on market, ticket sales, all the things that we know go into why the Dallas Cowboys are more valuable than the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
And the most valuable team is the Texas Longhorns. And per The Athletic, the estimation is about $2.46 billion. I think it surprised some people here that Utah is apparently the most valuable Big 12 team. I think it comes in at number 26 on the list, and the Utes are valued at $638 million.
Can you be, maybe you can't, more specific about the criteria?
Let me pull up, because the first paragraphs here, the article here doesn't explain exactly the criteria.
The reason that I ignore these things is because it's just some guy or gal making it up. I mean, think about this. How many clickbaity, where does your state rank in terms of livability? And then you open it up because, wow, I want to find out where Utah ranks.
Yeah.
And then you see it, and most people see it and go, well, this is just a dang fact. But then you look at the criteria, even when it comes to numbers, what you're weighting, and you look through the criteria and you go, well, this is just something that somebody made up. And maybe sometimes the stats have some weight, but how do you weigh the stats and what do you put it into? And most of the time it's just some idiot writer who needs something to write about who throws it together, and it really doesn't mean anything, but everybody wants to click on it because what is my school worth? So I have no idea what these schools are worth. I mean, even people who are supposed to know such things, like the Utah professor who knew how much the Pac-12 was worth in a media rights negotiation, even people who are like a professor on the subject are really just talking out their rear end.
Yeah.
So I ignore that sort of thing on purpose because people get all bent out of shape about it, and you know what it means? Nothing.
Utah's not going to go up for sale.
Do you think this athletic writer knows the intricacies of BYU and its relationship with the church and how much that would be worth or how much comes along with that? You think this person has a clue?
Right.
No. Or has a clue about Utah and what the Ocho capital injection and what all that stuff could possibly mean. Do they have a clue about any of that? No. So I don't know. What is some guy's objective to make a ranking? Well, I think it would sell for this much.
Part of this is due to the idea of how much money could you get from a private equity company.
Okay.
Which is kind of, now this is not the first year they've done this article, but it's partly inspired by that concept. Utah is at the top of the list now because in the Big 12, they're the only one who's done this private equity deal. So to your point, as of today, it might have more value because they've done private equity. They have this investment. Today, that makes them more valuable than BYU. If BYU were to take itself to market for private equity, or any of the other Big 12 schools, maybe somewhere in Texas, could get more money than Utah, or Arizona could get more money than Utah, all of a sudden they become more valuable. So to your point, I'm with you. I saw this floating around all over social media, people bragging about Utah having this value. Some of that's also, it's like, is it because you own, several hundred acres in Salt Lake City and the value that actually exists there? Just like the actual land you own has a certain amount of value. To your point, I'm not taking this for anything. None of these schools are ever actually for sale. It's not a thing. I don't mind the hypothetical concept of it, but if you're talking about the sales price of it, I guess it's kind of interesting, but it's not going to do a whole lot for you.
You know what? A Ute fan listener went up to a BYU fan listener at the water cooler today and said, "Did you see that our program is worth way more than yours?"
You guys are pathetic.
That was the point. That guy's editor is out of ideas, and he knows that money is a big story in college sports.
You gotta get
so he pulled this writer aside and he said, "Write me something about values of universities," and this is what that guy came up with. And surprisingly, as you note, lacking specificity. Color me surprised.
Yeah. Also, it has to do with the amount of revenue you bring in. Hence, Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame being the top 3 teams.
I wonder if this writer came up with the ranking or the criteria first.
Yeah.
Well, Texas has got to be number 1, right? So we'll just scratch that in there.
Figure out how to get there.
Texas, and then Ohio State's got to be number 2.
By the way, quickly, I'll read you. This is what they said about Texas. The Longhorns, somewhat surprisingly, didn't report the most football revenue in 2024-25's fiscal year, but Texas's 3-year average of $190 million is number 1 in the country and enough to stay number 1 on this list. The valuation puts Texas on par with the 2020 sale of the New York Mets of $2.4 billion, not adjusted for inflation. So even to the point, though, of what you're saying is, well, the year we're looking at, 2024-25, when they started to build this valuation, actually doesn't mean they're the most valuable. But if we zoom out long enough, it does fit with Texas being number 1.
You look into that writer's background, they wrote it, or they graduated from Texas at some point.
Yeah,
right. Somewhere on there, Texas A&M is coming in at like 25th.
Yeah, right.
Christian, where'd SUU come in?
Well, this school only lists the top. I think this list only lists the top 100. So
These
I think SUU's
it's just P4.
Okay,
it's just P4.
So SUU's probably right there, 135,
yeah, right
136.
Right
should be.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Number 3, the SEC and Big Ten were supposed to make a decision on the Protect College Sports Act this morning, but shocker, no news.
They were saying the deadline was because they're going to have August recess, right? And so if it was to get done now, it would have to get done now. And I think that was a long shot. I don't know if this means it's dead, though. It may take some of the urgency off it, which, of course, is how anything ever gets done.
I think the hard part about this is the rules change seemingly every summer. So the bill that you laid out with the design of implementing this year, or at least attacking some of the problems we've run into this year, may not apply to what we find out is the biggest problem next year, because that's how quickly things are changing. For a while, the biggest problem seemed to be, well, how do you limit the transfer portal? Do you need to have a year off in between transferring from one school to another? Or is it okay to just go, one season to the next with a totally different program? That seemed to be the big issue. And then it was, these players need to get paid something. So let's find a way to get them fair NIL deals. And then, of course, as you projected, and a lot of people projected, you're not getting actually paid for your services. Or you're not getting paid for your name, image, and likeness.
No.
You're getting paid for play. But they're just not calling it that. But you're not raking in $3 million because you went and did an ad for the local car wash. But there is some donor willing to give you $5 million to be the starting quarterback at his school, a la Cody Campbell. So that was the big problem. And then it's expansion. And then it's playoff. And next year it could be something totally different. But in the brief time, we've been talking about regulating college football, every single one of those has had its time in the spotlight as the single biggest problem we're facing. The BCS. Is college football fair? Do we need a new system, et cetera? All of those things we've run into. This bill designed to tackle certain things now, and I know it's vast. It's not trying to just accomplish one thing. It's trying to accomplish many. I suspect it will not feel all that up to date if it doesn't get pushed through now, which it's not going to. So next year, I don't know how it's going to apply to anything.
Well, I mean, they could do it in the fall.
Hope so.
They need to get it done. Honestly, they should get it done before the election because you'd think they want to run on it. But so if it might be dead in the water after the election because then you get a new Congress next year and different priorities emerge depending on what's going on in the world, to your point. So maybe there should be more urgency because this feels like the most momentum it's had. But you know what? Can I tell you? I think I'm starting to side more with your guy, Tommy Tuberville, out of Alabama, where so Cruz and what's the other senator's name, the Democrat?
Cantwell.
What they're doing is
Maria
this big monster. It's limiting the size of conferences. It's got all these other wonky rules. They're trying to tackle it all at once. And Tuberville's is just 5 to play 5 and 1 transfer. That's all that he wants to put in there. I'm starting to think, start somewhere. And I happen to think eligibility is the most urgent problem. Out of all the lists, who can play? Who is eligible to play? And what are the rules for being at schools? Because signing 2-year contracts doesn't mean anything. So how long do you have to be at a school? How long are you eligibility? Back to our Caitlin Clark thing. She should have sued to stay at Iowa. Mm-hmm. Sued for more eligibility. Right. She would have made way more money.
Way more.
And would have been a bigger deal, but she went to the WNBA. They got to fix that. They got to figure out who is eligible. That's the very basic. And then throw in the transfer rule. And then you know what? Maybe you tackle the rest down the line. Because nobody's going to agree on the NIL stuff. The SEC and the Big Ten aren't going to agree on anything, let alone have the Big 12 and the rest of the college come along. We need something basic. Maybe you just pass that basic. We get that laid down, and then we can proceed. But all these people playing 8 years of college sports because it's extremely lucrative is, I think, the most unsustainable of the unsustainable.
I agree with you. Cruz and Cantwell are trying to eat the elephant.
Yeah.
And Tuberville, you're right, I swear by everything he does.
You donated to his campaign?
I actively, every paycheck, there's just some comes out.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. Well, I'm a big believer. But he is saying, like, let's start with a bite. Let's start with one thing first and then solve the problems that come off of that, or then tackle the next thing. But trying to get it all done in one huge bill is obviously going to be impossible.
But the fear is that you have the votes now. We don't know if he has the votes, but if you have the votes to pass it, you may never have the votes.
You may never get them again.
You may never get the votes again. Right. That's why they jam a zillion things into every bill that actually has the votes to pass, because they're like, we may never get the votes again.
Right. There's some popularity for this now. Let's put everything we can into whatever.
Because that is the fear.
The big, beautiful bill or Obamacare or whatever. Every party does it.
Oh, have you ever looked at what's actually included in the farm bill?
No.
It's far from just
everything.
Agriculture.
Yeah.
It's just how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big fear, is like you can strip it down and get it over the hump for a couple of rules, but man, the rest may never get there. But that's the risk you got to run, I think.
Yeah.
Because they gotta figure out eligibility. That's true.
I'm with you. That might be the best place to start.
All right, more next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. We've got some NBA stuff we can get to later. I told you we have dueling LeBron songs we're going to play coming up in
this
the
isn't your
audio
band.
wall. No, not my band. This is a couple of fans putting together LeBron songs. So we will get to that coming up a little bit later on in the show. But joining us now is our good friend, covers the NBA for Spotrac. He's Keith Smith with us back on Jake and Ben. What's going on, Keith?
For consider it's late July, still quite a bit in the NBA. Normally we're headed off in the summertime now, but we still got quite a bit to resolve itself here.
Yeah, Keith, this has been one of the crazier summers. I mean, you look at LeBron's the most famous basketball player on the planet. He's not the best player anymore, but among top 10 players, I can't remember a lot of years when this much talent switched teams, moved around, or even just the most famous names in the league. I mean, the fact that Luka moved within the last 18 months, but Giannis, this has been a ton of turnover. The NBA feels like it's going to look a lot different next season.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. And I think what happens in the NBA, especially now, contracts generally run about 4 years in length, maybe 5 for some of the better players. But with the way the aprons are and all that, we're going to see the league reset itself almost every probably 3 to 4 years. And this feels like one of those big reset times, like you said, LeBron and Jaylen Brown, and then we had the Thunder move on from some key rotation players. LaMelo Ball was traded. Giannis, it could go on and on. But yeah, absolutely one of those massive summers of movement around the league.
So how do you think it's going to work in Philly? Think it's does it vault them into contender status?
I think it's really interesting. I think the kind of the way I've been looking at it is, if we remember back when the Heat first came together with LeBron and Wade and Bosh, I think there was something like 10-10 in that first year, and they weren't, looking all that good, and everybody's kind of wondering, all right, I guess this isn't going to work, and then they eventually figured it out. I think this group's probably going to have similar bumpiness early on. I don't know that they'll be 500, but I don't know that they're going to come right out of the gates and just beating the pants off everybody, because I think there are real questions that they're going to have to figure out. And really the only way to do it will be on court in meaningful games where you have guys like LeBron and Brown and Embiid and Maxey and Edgecombe, and then even off the bench, a guy like Anthony Simons. These are all guys who are used to having the ball a lot. They're high-usage players. And it's going to take a little bit for them to figure it out. And that's ultimately probably that, and figuring out if they can cobble together even a league average kind of defense. That'll ultimately be the measure of success for this team with how they win games. But, yeah, it's going to be a really interesting experiment to see how this all comes together. But I think eventually after the early bumpiness, it'll probably be okay.
Keith, I don't know where I fall on this. But as we cover the NBA, I look at this Knicks team that just won the title, and I think this is probably, and maybe I'm just not far enough away from it, this is probably one of the more flawed champions I remember in a while. And now I start to ask myself, like, with how difficult it is to build a great team because of the restrictions with the tax aprons, with so much turnover, do you think we're going to start to see less or fewer perfect teams win titles going forward, considering we've had 8 different champions in 8 years?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, San Antonio and Oklahoma City are going to do their best to kind of break that there and just kind of, pull out of it where they can get into a place where those teams are really just sustainable winners, maybe, can pull off multiple championships in a period of time. And when you have all the talent the Thunder has, and they seem very willing to kind of replace those mid-tier guys, and when you have 1 million draft picks to go out and get the next group of guys, it becomes that much easier. But and then San Antonio obviously has Wembanyama. He already left potentially some money on the table to ease the Spurs roster building issues. I think those teams are set up to really make a run at being there year over year over year. But I think if we go all the way back, I think it's back to the early 1980s, that even in the Western Conference that we've seen back-to-back Western Conference Finals matchups against the same teams in back-to-back years. That tells you even the parity that exists just within that conference. So I think the system is set up to, you can be on top for a year or two, but then unless you're willing to really pay and go deep into this apron, you're going to have to break things up eventually. And I think that's kind of where we'll ultimately see this. And I think to your point of, I don't think we're going to see many teams that come in where like, boy, that team was really flawless. Now I say that, and the Thunder were pretty awesome 2 years ago. The Celtics were pretty great the year before that. So it's, let's see how it all plays out.
Kind of in the Jazz conversation, and I think they will be better. They will be a team that has taken a step forward in the West. What other Western Conference teams do you think have gotten better this offseason?
Yeah, I think let's see where it goes with Minnesota. I'm not fully sold that moving everything out that they did to bring in LaMelo Ball is going to make them necessarily better. So we'll see. I think the Jazz, if we go back to the trade deadline to now, I think they're better. They're certainly a deeper team than they were, and the feeling, at least from everyone I've talked to and around the league, is they're going to go for it this year. There's not going to be any of this, well, we're playing pretty good, but let's kind of pull the rug out from underneath everybody and just kind of pivot. I think they're ready to go. I'm not entirely sure about the Lakers either. I think they're very different. I don't know if they're necessarily going to be a lot better. I think they'll probably be a fairly similar team. So it's kind of a weird year, and for the first time in maybe decades, it feels like the East may be just as strong at the top, and then maybe the deeper overall conference and real quality teams, which is, like I said, it's been a very, very long time since we could say that.
Keith, so you were talking about windows being shorter than they used to be, and they've really always kind of been probably shorter than people recognize, but there were dynastic teams, whether it was the Bulls in the 90s or the Lakers and Celtics or the Warriors in the teens. When you have a team like the Jazz lose Walker Kessler, who, had they had Walker, invested in him, you've got Jaren Jackson Jr., you've got Lauri Markkanen, you've got these young players in Ace Bailey and now Darren Peterson, It felt like that was the beginning of, this window opening. Until they replace, and we're fans of him on the show, Yusuf Nurkic, with a better center, I don't think you can really say the Jazz are serious contenders. And what I've tried to warn Jazz fans is if they don't make a move quickly, getting a Jared Allen or somebody else to step in and fill Walker Kessler's shoes, the window of this era with Lowry and Jaren Jackson Jr. could close, and they could just pivot to the next group of, well, let's wait till Ace Bailey and Darren Peterson and Keontae George are all ready to play together and win. That can come a lot quicker, I think, in today's NBA than people remember from the Stockton and Malone era. Do you think there is risk of that if you continue to wait and put off, of saying, hey, maybe the next generation or the next group, that you kind of just never actually arrive? You never even try to open the window?
It's absolutely the way it works. When I've talked to multiple GMs around the NBA, they tell you the hardest thing in their job, it's not rebuilding a team, it's not building back up, it's knowing when to go all in and make that move. Because if you go too early, maybe you never quite get there because your guys weren't ready and you made the all-in move. They didn't have the stuff left to kind of supplement and rebuild, on the fly around it if it didn't really work. And if you wait too long, like you said, maybe that window never opens the way you thought it would. Now, I think the Jazz are in a really interesting place where I think for them, with the team they have, I think they've got a chance to be pretty good in the West right now, but I think they're holding back purposely, making the all-in move. Let's see what we have in a guy like Darren Peterson and Ace Bailey and can Keontae George, can he repeat last year's success? What does it look like when we have all these guys together and we're really trying to win games before we start saying, all right, we're ready to not only beat the Thunder and the Spurs of the world, but can we get past the Nuggets and the Timberwolves and the teams that have kind of been there in front of them for a little bit? So I think they're certainly going to take that approach. But you're absolutely right where, if it's another 2-3 years from now, we may be sitting here saying, all right, well, they never got there. But now here's the good news. You have Peterson, you have Bailey, you have George. You've got, I don't know, a bunch of eighth graders we don't even know about yet that might be on this team. So I think they are set up to really, really have a pretty good run of success here. It just may not be with the guys that everybody kind of knows and loves from the team right now.
So my new favorite nickname in sports, Keith, is El Cheapo for Tom Dundon there in Portland. I think that's incredible. What is he doing? What's his end game behaving the way that he is with that negotiation with the city?
Yeah, I really don't know. If we kind of separate it into chunks, when you look at it, he's doing exactly what he did when he bought the Carolina Hurricanes, which is kind of take all the money out of the off ice, off court stuff. One of my favorite movies, it's not a great movie, but I love it, is Moneyball. And I love when they ask you, why are you going to pay for soda? Billy wants to keep the money on the field. Well, he's done a little bit of that. He has paid for players in Carolina, and they worked out pretty good because they won the Stanley Cup last year. So we'll see if that goes. But then you have the other part where he's now in this very public, messy fight with the city of Portland. And that's, Portland is I know they have MLS teams and whatnot, but they're a one major league team city, much like Orlando, where I've relocated to. And I know if the Magic were ever on the move, what it would do to the city. And I know people in Portland are starting to get a little bit worried about it, but they're also saying, hey, why should we as, taxpayers pay to build a new stadium or renovate our stadium for a billionaire? He's got all the money. Why shouldn't he do it? And if he says he doesn't have all the money, maybe he shouldn't be owning an NBA team. So none of this is good for Portland, which, they should be gearing up to celebrate their 50th anniversary of their one NBA title, which was in 1977. That should be a big deal for them, and they should be having a lot of fun. And instead, they're sitting here wondering, are we still going to have the Blazers in a few years?
An article came out today, Keith, about the potential for the investigation between the NBA, the Clippers, and Kawhi Leonard and Aspiration could potentially, if they don't agree to a settlement or the punishment and they want to appeal, that this could stretch into 2027, which would, obviously surpass or go the beginning of this year. With this trade pending, with the Clippers seemingly trying to start a rebuild, the Raptors wanting to maybe win a championship in a wide open East, what do you think Kawhi wants? Which is, I know he's maybe the biggest mystery we've had in the NBA in the last 20 years. What do you think his goal is? What do you think his motivations are?
It does seem to be that he's excited about returning to Toronto within a couple days of that trade being, announced, even though it wasn't but, ultimately finalized. He was in Toronto for Kyle Lowry's kind of ceremonial one-day contract to retire as a Raptor, and then he was at Summer League, where we haven't seen him in years, rooting on the young Raptors players that were there. So I think he is committed to, hey, let me get to Toronto. And I think there's got to be some sense with him, and I wouldn't presume to know this because, Kawhi doesn't talk to anybody, and anybody who says they know what he's thinking is, they're guessing as much as I am, but it does seem like he is in a place where it is, hey, I just want to focus on basketball. I just want to play hoops. And I think, he knows in Toronto he can do that. He was very kind of insulated there. They really made sure it was just about basketball. It obviously worked out great as they won a title. So I think that's where we're at. But, yeah, it's, much like everybody else, I'll add to the chorus of how are we still doing this at the end of July, a year later on this whole thing, and, where are we at? And I know Adam Silver said, soon, and I guess the investigation portion is wrapped up, and now we're moving into whatever. But, yeah, now it's a question of, all right, if we're going to have all these appeals and everything else, and that stretches into 2027, are we just going to, is this trade just never going to happen? Or are we just going to, go back? And that could cause messes for a guy like Brandon Ingram. It's certainly a situation I don't think the Raptors or the Clippers, and really, quite frankly, a lot of the rest of the league are very happy to be, even tangentially involved in.
Keith, you are always so generous with your time. We really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Keith.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. That's Keith Smith, our friend, makes the magic happen for Spotrac.
You and I have both been critical is a word I think people take as being negative, when really I think what we're just trying to do is observe the decisions made and then, grade them or discuss the moves that were made by the Jazz in the past. And we have been, quote, critical of the decision to go all in on Mike Conley. Ended up being the wrong move.
Yeah.
And maybe Bojan Bogdanovic too, but Mike specifically did not address what became the Jazz's biggest need, which was poor perimeter defense in a too small backcourt. And Mike's actually a pretty good defensive player. You can also, criticize Quinn Snyder for his method of believing Rudy Gobert needs to be involved in every defensive play and nobody else has responsibility to play defense on the perimeter.
I think there are several reasons that team didn't succeed, but Mike Conley did not fix it.
And once they gave up, 2 first-round draft picks, some minor salaries, the young players they had on their roster, to go out and get him, they really did not have flexibility elsewhere to address their issues.
No, they were capped out.
And then Quinn wouldn't play my guy Jared Butler, and how were you going to win if you didn't play Jared Butler?
The disaster, really.
That was the big mistake. So where the Jazz are right now, I really feel for fans who have been waiting for 4 years to get to this point where you trade for Jaren Jackson Jr., you've got Ace Bailey and Darren Peterson on the roster. One of your young draft picks has broken out, it seems, in Keontae George, and it feels like the team is ready to take a step forward, and you have your starting 5, and then because you're trying to control time, which is not really possible in the NBA, and Walker Kessler says, the Lakers want to pay me $39 million, but I'll sign for $32.5. The Jazz say, well, we're not going to give you $39 million to match that contract or whatever. I know, again, there's some nuance in why I'm saying this number 39 and when he ended up signing for 32.5. But how you get to that point, I feel for Jazz fans if the Jazz are not going to go all in now to try and start winning after losing Walker Kessler and just saying, well, we got to get a center somewhere. Let's throw all of our assets at the problem. And on the flip side, the Jazz can't repeat the mistake they made with Mike Conley, like Keith Smith just said, of going all in too early, because then you've just capped yourself in your ability to win, and you waste the fact that you just went through a 4-year rebuild.
I don't think they went all in too early with Mike Conley.
Okay.
They made the wrong trade.
Made the wrong trade, sure.
They acquired the wrong player. I know what you're saying on all in, but I'm trying to decide, is it ever smart to go all in?
Right.
I mean, honestly, you look at Oklahoma City, they win a title. Are they all in?
No, they have several draft picks still going forward. They have an ability to at least stay afloat.
All in feels like what the Lakers did over and over again with LeBron, and it never really worked.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I guess maybe I'm trying to find a working definition of all in.
No, I think you're totally fair.
And what that means. Now, the Jazz went all in because they didn't have any more resources, and they didn't have flexibility under the cap.
Mm-hmm.
Is that ever a good idea?
Probably not. And I'm trying to think of teams that went all in that also had success. the teams that sold out everything to say we're going for it this year, and it worked out.
The Raptors with Kawhi.
The Raptors with Kawhi is probably the best example.
Mm-hmm.
They gave up DeMar DeRozan and Jakob Poeltl and whatever draft picks they had to go out and get it.
For a 1-year contract.
For a 1-year contract, and it worked. I don't know what the Knicks' future draft pick situation looks like, to be honest with you. They went pretty all in.
They're pretty capped out.
And have since, like, they sold off Mitch Robinson already. Like, they just didn't sign him. Boston went so all in with Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday and all these things that right after they won their title, the steady drip of erosion has seen Porzingis leave, Drew Holiday leave, now Jaylen Brown's gone. Like, clearly they felt like they had committed to a point that was unsustainable even for a championship roster, that they've started selling things off. So again, like, how all in are the Jazz? How much of that is sustainable? Because to your point, you know what? You could probably go out and get a starting center, and you still have 2 future Lakers picks. You still have picks from Minnesota. You still have picks from the Cavaliers. You still have swaps. Like, it would actually be difficult for the Jazz to go, quote, all in and give up all their assets, because you're not getting Wemby, and there's no other player worth going all in for that addresses your needs. So I'm not sure how all in the Jazz could go, even if they wanted to.
I think I follow.
Sorry, that was probably
There's a lot of ins there, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous.
Yeah.
Whatever all in is, I certainly don't think now is the time the Jazz need to do that.
If you wait too long,
young players,
and you pay Keontae, and Lowry's being paid, and Jaren is being paid, and eventually Ace is going to come up or whatever, then you can't even keep those guys. You're some of those guys, and so when are you all in?
I think the key is you have to go all in on one player and then be flexible around that. This is a working theory. But what did the Patriots do to stay relevant for 20
Went all in
years?
on Tom.
Tom was the guy, and then everybody else was expendable.
Yeah.
I think maybe the Nuggets' problem, why they haven't been able to refit it, is they went in on 2 guys.
Or maybe 3 with Aaron Gordon.
Or maybe 3 with Aaron Gordon, and you just can't do that because it limits all of your flexibility.
No, I think it's a very good theory. Boston may be saying, we're all in on Jason Tatum.
Right, and we're going to flip the rest around because you can only afford really to go all in on one player. I don't know. Working
no, it's
theory
interesting. No,
there.
I think it's a really smart point.
And I don't think the Jazz have that player yet. Maybe they do, but they haven't emerged as.
Yes.
They
don't have that. Maybe he is on the roster. He's not proven he's him quite yet.
No, not THT.
He's not to THT's level yet.
He's not there.
It could be Ace. It could be Darren. It could be Keontae. Who knows? But I mean, I don't think it's Keontae, to be honest with you.
Maybe Lowry turns into a 32-10 guy overnight. I don't know.
Sure.
But he's not that now.
He has not been that yet.
And Jaren Jackson really hasn't been that yet either.
So, yeah, who is going to be that person? And maybe it is Darren Peterson. And then everyone else is just deck chairs that you're rearranging to find the right guy.
I mean, even Randy Moss was expendable to the New England Patriots.
Yep.
All their fan favorites all were traded or cut early because it was Tom and everybody else.
And you know what? That has actually, while we think of an old school NBA where you did have this ability to keep rosters together longer, and that is certainly true, the first Tim Duncan title team in San Antonio and the last Tim Duncan title team in San Antonio have nothing in common other than Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich.
That's it.
But it was
Tim Duncan. I'd even take Pop
it could
out
have
of
been
there.
any coach.
Yep.
You could have flipped Pop out. He never had to be there in the first place. The first one was Avery Johnson and Sean Elliott and David Robinson and whoever. And the last one.
And Jaren Jackson Sr., I think.
Yeah. And the last one was, of course, Kawhi and Tony Parker and Manu.
But Tony and Manu were barely factors at that point. I mean,
Kawhi won the MVP.
To your point. Yeah, right. So, I don't know. Maybe this whole big 3 or big 2, maybe it's really just a big one.
Maybe it's a 1.
But I think the key is, the key is always overspending. Right, because Shea is the one in Oklahoma City, but they're paying 3 people like they're the one. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they love Chester, and I'm sure they love Jalen Williams. But maybe that has to be the fodder.
When
you know
push
what I mean?
comes to shove, they're going to have to pick one. And it ain't going to be Chester, and it's probably not going to be J-Dub. It's going to be Shea.
Right.
I think you're right. They're going to run into the same problem the Celtics just ran into. The problem that the Nuggets have probably been too unwilling to address. where they've been too romantic about winning a title with Gordon, Murray, and Jokic. And not been willing to make enough changes around it to give Jokic opportunities to win.
Everybody loves Murray, but maybe that, what is he making, like $50 million a year, could be used on 3 different players that would be helpful to get Jokic back over the hump.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
But you fall in love with your players, and Jamal Murray's great. Jalen Williams is great. But I don't know if you can pick 2. And maybe that's the concept that Boston is proving. Honestly, maybe they're back on top and they refit it, and the boy wonder makes everybody look stupid. Or
maybe it doesn't work, and they become the Milwaukee Bucks, who also won 1 title with Giannis, and then tried to say, like, what if we flip Drew for Dame? And it failed.
But see, there's a different issue. That is incompetence.
Sure.
That does not prove the theory wrong. That is incompetence.
Correct. It's poor execution.
Trading for Mike Conley, I don't think falls in the incompetence category, because it honestly didn't fail that badly, and he played well here and made an all-star, and they had some potential, so I'm not going to say it's incompetence, but you know what it was the wrong move.
Right.
It wasn't what that team needed at that price point, and that proved to be correct.
Right.
So it's more nuanced than just, Bill Belichick had to cut Randy Moss, but he had to sign the next right player.
Right. And he
had to
they
move
won
on
after.
From Mike Vrabel, and they had to find the next linebacker or whatever. Vrabel played linebacker, didn't he? Pretty sure.
But they did find the next guy.
They made the right moves until the end when they didn't. And that's when Bill clowned himself after Tom left and couldn't make the right move if he tried. After 20 years of they made the right move. They moved off of Wes Welker at the right time and moved on to Julian Edelman at the right time. Moved off of, who was the Utah Tech running back? I guess at the time Dixie College. Who played for the Bengals for a long time, and then was Corey Dillon.
Okay.
They moved off of Corey Dillon and they moved on. I think they moved on to a new running back every 2 years.
Yeah.
And that proved to be sustainable winning. Now, the Jazz back in the day had 2, right? And they made the playoffs for 20-plus years straight. But the rules were different then. For most of John and Carl's career, there really wasn't any such thing as a salary cap.
Yeah.
So I don't know if, and then to your point earlier, you can't keep John and Carl together forever anymore. It just doesn't work that way. Terry Porter and Clyde Drexler aren't going to play together forever in Portland and make the playoffs for 20 years.
So to that point, which I think is actually an optimistic one, is it doesn't matter that you moved off of Walker. You're always going to be moving around the guys who aren't THT, he's him. You've got one guy to signify or designate as the guy, and everyone else has to be movable.
Is that an old enough joke we have to reset that?
THT being him?
THT, that's Hot Dog, Taylor Horton Tucker. And when he was on the Lakers, he was quite literally the only asset the Lakers had to trade.
The last piece they had to trade.
That's it. It was. And so as a result, or to prop up Hot Dog's value,
GM LeBron
sent out a tweet with was it a video of Hot Dog
it was a highlight
picture
clip.
or
It was just
something?
a highlight clip of THT getting like a poke away steal and a pick 6 dunk.
And it said, he's him.
He's him. Like, clearly LeBron advertising this trade piece. Like, I don't think we'll ever win another game if we trade him. Imagine how good he'd be on X, Y, and Z teams. He's, all caps, him.
I remember you and I clowning that at the time.
We had a good laugh about that.
We did.
One.
Really? That guy?
Him?
That was pre his nickname Hot Dog.
Yeah.
But all right, more next. Thanks to Keith Smith for jumping on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
I think the engine's stalling out on me.
Yeah, that don't sound right.
Dang, got a lot more miles to go.
Nah, be okay, mate. You ride with Geico Motorcycle Insurance and got their 24/7 emergency roadside service. They'll be here with a tow in no time.
Good, because these boots weren't made for walking.
Those riding boots are pretty sweet.
Oh, you like?
Do you think they come in a size 1 inch?
I don't know.
It feels good to ride with help. It feels good to Geico. Emergency roadside service is optional coverage.
Doing it big,
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're teaming up with Beehive Meals for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week, honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at kslsports.com/contest and listen every Thursday to this show. Jake and Ben, for the winner, it's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Ben, did you see this report out there? Your guy, McMiniman, Dave McMiniman, for the Mouse, is reporting. Ready? Luka Doncic is hosting the entire Los Angeles Lakers roster in Slovenia for a 4-day minicamp in August. The itinerary will include workouts, golf, and some tourism and bonding ahead of training camp. Any initial thoughts before I give you my my take on this?
Yeah, I hope I'm not jumping on yours, but here, I'm trying to look through this roster right now.
No, feel free. Jump away.
So, I bet you Adu Thiero, who did they draft this year? Lakers have a draft pick this year? I think they might have had one. They drafted the kid from Baylor, Cameron Carr.
Or no, he played at Michigan State, didn't he?
I must be thinking of somebody else.
Yeah.
But the kid who...
Carr played at Michigan State.
There was a kid who played at Baylor, who I think they drafted.
Oh, it was Baylor?
Cameron Carr.
Who am I thinking of?
You are thinking about the dunker, the kid who can really jump out of the gym, who I think is also a Carr, but is a different player altogether. I bet you those kids, first and second year players, are like, I'm going to go hang out with Luka. I'm being invited to Lithuania. Where's he?
Slovenia.
Slovenia, excuse me, pardon me. I can't wait. I'm in the NBA. This is the big time. I guarantee you, Kayvon Looney, Quentin Grimes, Jared Vanderbilt are just like, as soon as they saw this email hit or the group chat, like chucked their phone across. Like, I have to do this because it's Luka. He's the star of the team. But I have to fly there to spend a week. I have to cancel my other late summer plans. And I have to do it because I have to be in Luka's good graces. But I have to go to where he is. Not where there is a common meeting spot for every single one of these people. It's Los Angeles. They have to be there. There's no reason for any of them to go to Slovenia other than one person. And it's Luka. And Luka, while this sounds nice, is actually flexing the muscle of, you have to come to me. That's the problem here.
No, I really do. I agree with all of that. I'm sure even Walker Kessler was rolling his eyes because it's a long plane flight. And yeah, you got to go kiss the ring because it's now Luka's team.
Jake, if you said,
funny.
I want to host everyone for dinner, I want to take care of the company, it's a good team building experience, and I'm like, cool, let's do it at the building because we all work at the building. And you were like, I want to try somewhere I've never been before. I want to go down to Panguitch because there's a restaurant I want to go to. I'm throwing my phone across the room. I'm saying, no, Jake, we're picking up some pizzas and we're meeting at Triad.
Hey, Panguitch is lovely.
Sure, yeah. I bet.
No, I like your point. But I do think it is funny that Rob Pelinka is still letting a player make all the decisions. That my first reaction was yours. I bet the veterans are rolling their eyes. My second thought was, wow, the Lakers will just make or let these players do anything because there's no way this is a good idea. Going to Eastern Europe, they're going to be playing golf. They're going to be bonging vodka off the top of the top of the golf cart. Half the team is going to come back smoking unfiltered cigarettes. Do you really want your young players or any players picking up habits from Luka Doncic?
My other thought
They're going to eat the whole time.
Yeah.
They're going to be vaping and smoking and drinking and doing Lord knows what.
New vape flavor.
They're going to be going to the Eastern European clubs. It's going to be unsupervised. You know, it's really like it is a romantic thing in a way. The story last year of Keontae George. Flying all the young players down to Dallas, right? And doing a bonding experience and probably trying to create some good habits. I think it was a step in the leadership of Keontae George as he becomes a player that you would want your other young players to follow. I know for a fact that Jazz like Keontae's charisma. That's why they wanted him to grow up so they could put that charisma to some good use. And I actually do think flying players to Dallas was probably pretty productive for the Utah Jazz last year.
And again, young players showing some initiative to buy in.
And I'm sure that there was some recreational activity.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure they had a good time. And I'm sure they didn't get on the phone and tell their mom about everything that they were doing down in Dallas.
True.
I don't have unrealistic expectations. Correct. That said, you fly the whole team to Eastern Europe to hang out with Luka Doncic. What good habits are they going to learn over there?
What's being learned?
What are they going to? And I'll tell you what. I'm sure that Slovenia is awesome. I would actually love to visit there someday. Yeah. I'm sure it's incredible. But I mean, Luka's like, I'm gonna tell you all the local haunts where we can really get into some trouble.
Yeah.
You know.
My other fear here is that we are seeing GM LeBron being replaced by GM Luka.
No, that's why they're going to fire GM Rob Pelinka.
It's why they were like Walker Kessler at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Jazz know Walker better than anybody. And again, I don't think the Jazz played the Walker card perfectly. Clearly they didn't. Like I think the Jazz would have preferred to just have Walker on the team on a good contract. They don't have that. They got some pretty good draft picks and, they got some good capital out of it. I don't think it was ideally played by the Jazz, but the Jazz know Walker better than any other team in the world. And the Jazz said, "Oh, we don't need him. We don't need him at that price. We don't need that. We don't need him that badly." And the Lakers said, "At any cost. Walker Kessler either at $39 million a year or $32.5 million and 2 draft picks and 2 swaps. Like at any cost, we have to have Walker." That screams to me Luka makes that decision because Luka doesn't care about the Lakers draft picks in 2032 or 2033 and 2031, whatever the years are. That's GM Luka. And yes, "you will fly to me" is GM Luka. That's the boss Luka. When you meet with your boss, you go to your boss's office to have your meeting or the conference room your boss picks. You don't say, "Hey boss, come where it's convenient for me." That's not how the order of business works. And you're seeing that already with the Lakers.
Do you know what Slovenia's most popular cigarette brand is?
I have no idea.
Boss. That's the name.
Okay.
Now
BOSS?
The BOSS.
Okay.
Now their most iconic historical Slovenian brand is called Filter 57.
Okay.
So, dude, Walker's going to get back to L.A. and he's going to go to 7. He's going to be like, "I need a pack of those Filter 57s.
Pack of 57s.
I need a pack of 57s.
What are you talking about?
I tried them out in Slovenia and they're
the best.
magic.
They're unfiltered. Yeah.
Incredible.
Incredible.
What? No 57s? Come on. What good habits are you going to get into over there? Maybe some bonding.
People would be surprised at how many European players do smoke.
Oh, like all of them?
Probably not all of them, but enough that you would be surprised that like Bojan Bogdanovic was smoking cigarettes.
I know the bar that Kirilla Fasenko liked when he was here because the owner let him smoke in his office.
First of all, Kirilla was like 19 when he was here. By the way, not just the European players, I'm sure, that are smoking. Lots of players are smoking, lots of different things, whatever. But then, it's up to them. The NBA doesn't test for it. You do whatever you want to do. But yeah, I think people would be surprised. While it seems like a joke, what you're saying, it's like there's a very real chance Luka gets home and is just ripping cigarettes the whole time.
Hitting Filter 57s the whole time. Yeah.
Hey, this stuff works though.
Cigarettes?
Well, Luka.
Or team bonding.
Luka's team bonding.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead and Google. Do you guys know which international team Jackson Hayes is eligible to play for?
Jamaica? No clue.
No, it's Luka's. Yeah.
Slovenia.
Is it Slovenia?
Yeah, it is.
Jackson Hayes is not Slovenian.
At all.
But he petitioned to become eligible to play for the Slovenian national team because he's such close friends with Luka.
Okay.
I'm sure because of these bonding activities. So Walker Kessler is probably done representing Team USA.
Yeah.
All these Lakers players are going to be Team Slovenia, 2028 Olympics.
Yeah, the 2028 Olympics, you're going to see Walker and Jared Vanderbilt and Dalton Knecht are all on Team Slovenia.
AR.
Have a pack of 57s.
57s. The Slovenia 57s.
More Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson. Now, every day from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is a win ticket Wednesday. That means caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. You're going to win 2 tickets to go see the Black Crows with special guest Whiskey Myers, the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on Thursday, August 13th. For additional chances to win, sign up for your shot to win the tickets at kslsports.com/contest or be caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. I have not made it out to Utah First Amphitheater yet this year.
Oh, this year, okay.
No, I've been out there many times. I don't know, what would my favorite show I've ever seen at that amphitheater? It's a long list, actually. I saw Fish there, which was a pretty good show.
It's a long show, too.
I've seen the Dead and Company there.
Also long. You jam band guy.
I saw Black Sabbath.
Not a jam band.
I've seen 311 countless times. Bob Dylan there countless times. Poison there countless times.
Does 311 get jammy? Do they start jamming?
No.
They stick to their songs
They're
pretty tight.
Yeah, they're pretty.
I saw them at Warped Tour or something here also, but
I'm going to miss them this year. Usually I see them. They're coming to the Sandy Amphitheater, but I'm not going to get a chance to see them. Man, what else? That's a great venue.
It's a good venue.
I've seen Dave Matthews there.
Okay.
Ben Harper.
Okay. You know Maddie's a huge Dave Matthews fan.
Is she? Well, I know she loves the Dead.
She will go. She's traveled to go see Dave Matthews. You'll have to talk to her about. Seeing Dave.
I saw the Insane and Membrane people there.
Oh, Cypress Hill?
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Snoop Dogg?
Very cool.
Yeah, I've seen a ton of bands out there. It's a great venue. I remember when they opened it. We needed that venue for that outdoor, take advantage of it. I know they're doing a new outdoor venue downtown that's going to be a little smaller, right? So
I don't think it's outdoor. I think it's indoor.
Is that indoor?
I think the idea is to have a mid-size indoor venue.
Well, the Sandy Amphitheater is rad.
It's great, yeah.
It's really great. I love Red Butte. Deer Valley's concerts are always great. I told you the best time I ever saw Bob Dylan was at Deer Valley. Mm-hmm. He was actually in a good mood. I was shocked.
I also like the amphitheater you were talking about, Utah First.
Uh-huh.
I like Red Butte. I worked up there for a long time. So like the Black Crows, I've met the Black Crows because they came through playing up at Red Butte and they just like had to walk through the main room and they were like, "We're the Black Crows. Where do we go?" And I'm like, "Just past the orangery, brother." But we could use a good year-round indoor, mid-size venue.
I honestly
think that's a good idea.
I don't think the E Center is a bad place to see a show.
Enjoy it.
I've seen Guns N' Roses at the E Center.
They're just not designed for it, despite the fact that I think they host very well, Maverick Center. But yeah.
Did I say the E Center?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
But it does. It serves its purpose quite well.
Saw the Bare Naked Ladies at the Maverick Center.
Okay.
Saw the Moody Blues at the Maverick Center with a full orchestra background, which was pretty...
Just play Nights in White Satin!
They played their...
Stop playing other songs!
they did play that song.
I would hope so.
The only time I've sat front and center for a concert, Jimmy Taylor was at the Maverick Center.
It's a good venue.
I've been ejected from the Maverick Center, but that's a different story.
Okay.
Part of my
Were you heckling the goalie?
Pass.
I
didn't get thrown out for that.
Okay. Were you at a concert?
No, it was a Grizzlies game.
That was a Grizzlies game.
But we don't need to.
Yeah,
we don't
delve into that.
Man, I've been thrown out of more places than I realized.
Sounds like it.
Well, it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were asked to leave?
Used to get kicked out of everything skateboarding. So that was very common. So, and then since that's just different, that's just like kind of minor trespassing. It usually wasn't my individual behavior that got me kicked out of somewhere. Oh, I mean, I went to a concert and a guy put me in the headlock. And he was not asking me to leave. He was forcing me out. And then the rest of the security guards came and apologized to me. And then I told you he wanted to fight me after, and vice versa. But there was no fight. So that was a few years ago now. I haven't since, thankfully.
I bet you Christian has never been thrown out of anything ever.
Nope.
You don't have the personality of somebody who gets asked to leave.
No, I'm too nice.
Took a laser pointer to like the Hansen Planetarium or something, wherever they used to do like the light show or whatever it was. And my friends and I were playing with the laser pointer, and they came up and were like, "We're going to ask you to leave if you don't turn it off." And I said, "What if we didn't?" And they said, "They just let us stay." But we had to put the laser pointer away. Got kicked out of Aaron Brockovich. I tried to sneak into the movie Aaron Brockovich at Movies 10 when I was little. I don't know why. Why that movie? I don't know.
How old were you?
I was probably 12 or 13. I don't know why I wanted to go see Union, the movie about fighting. Was it the mines?
No, it was
Aaron Brockovich
PG&E.
poisoning water.
No, yeah. It was, yeah.
I actually was kicked out of a movie theater when I was like 13, 14. I pulled the fire alarm.
Oh, that's illegal.
That's illegal. Yeah, that's worse than a laser pointer.
We should have Christian arrested.
We should.
Well, you don't need to punish me. I was kicked out of the movie theater already.
We should have you audited.
You're lucky.
Just make sure you're paying all your taxes.
I was a child.
Yeah, that's crazy. How old were you?
13 or 14.
Yeah. That's
old
enough to know better.
You should have been clapped in irons, dude.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't
you should still be in prison.
I didn't do it as a joke.
What did you do it for?
Vandalism.
No. So sometimes there's like a plastic cover on the fire alarm. And then there's the actual handle that you pull, right? So I was like, oh, I wonder what happens if I just lift the plastic cover, and the fire alarm went off anyways. I thought I would actually have to lift the cover.
You thought it was a two-step process.
Right. Why have the handle there if you don't need to pull the handle? The alarm's just going to go off anyway.
It's for emergencies, and they don't want people who are trying to keep themselves alive to have to go through a multi-step process to pull an alarm to warn others that this building's on fire and you need to get out. Actually, extraordinarily reasonable by the engineer who designed the fire alarm to not make it difficult.
I'm just trying to imagine what the Brigham City jail looks like.
Yeah.
I bet it's rough.
I bet it's tough.
It's pretty rough.
Tough kids.
I bet it's rough.
And they just kicked you out?
Yeah, they were like,
cops didn't come or anything?
Yeah, they didn't let me watch Superman, Man of Steel.
Okay. Is that what you were there for?
Yeah.
Okay. Never pulled a fire alarm. Dangerous.
Steven Soderbergh was nominated for that for Aaron Brockovich.
Mm-hmm.
He was also nominated for Best Picture. Had another movie that same year.
That was after Traffic, right?
No, it was Traffic.
It was Traffic?
They were the same year.
He won Best Director for Traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's like Spielberg doing Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in the same year. We don't do that so much anymore.
Traffic, another good movie for that game. 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Traffic rules. What a movie.
Yeah, everybody's in it.
Yeah, everyone's in it, and it's just rocks.
Which do you like better, Brockovich or Traffic?
I never saw Brockovich. I got kicked out.
You never went back to watch it?
I never went back.
Oh, it's a good movie.
But Traffic. Benicio.
But Brockovich has that actor you hate.
Julia Roberts?
No, Two-Face.
Oh, I don't mind Aaron Eckhart. I just don't think he's good as Two-Face in Batman or Dark Knight. The Dark Knight. I just don't think he's good in that movie. But I don't mind Aaron Eckhart.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't think he's very well cast as Two-Face.
Oh, I see. All right. Stay tuned. Joining us in studio coming up next, Mitch Harper covers the Cougs for KSLSports.com. We'll talk to Mitch straight ahead, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Not only do these guys give you the best Jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Joining us now in studio. He covers the Cougs for KSLSports.com. He is our buddy, Mitch Harper. Mitch, we can see you. You're on camera.
That's so nice.
That's right.
Yeah.
In studio.
Looking good, pal. How are you?
Doing good. Getting ready for another season. Getting to kind of the unofficial start tomorrow for the season with the BYU football media event, golf tournament at the old East Bay course. So ready to kick off another year of Cougar football. Can't wait.
Well, as you go in and get ready for the season, what feels like the centrifugal force? What is everything revolving around?
It all revolves around Kalani and how he stayed at BYU and how he can maybe take this thing to a higher level. I think that's going to be kind of a fascinating angle to see where Kalani takes this with the program, because that Penn State search, that was as real as it gets. Where it's crazy. It's that UCF press conference post game, that final Saturday in the regular season. I really look back on that and think that Big 12 championship game might have been, from a timing perspective, one of the best things ever for BYU, because if he's got another week to just kind of let things marinate behind the scenes and not get much spotlight and not have to go to a mic, maybe he's not feeling the public pressures, and maybe it's a different era. Yeah. So all the timing worked out, and Kalani is BYU football, and I think his early message of wanting to be the Polynesian Lavelle Edwards, he's got that opportunity. Yeah. Even Brian Santiago told me at Big 12 Media Day that he's seeing some things from Kalani that put him now in the conversation with Lavelle, and that would have been unthinkable, really from any coach, but the way that Kalani's doing it in a league like the Big 12 and a stage, like, he's just doing some really great things, but he's got to take it to a higher level. Hasn't really won anything from a championship, hang a banner type perspective. He's got that opportunity with this year's team.
All right, I bring this up more because I want to get it out of the way, and then we can go on and talk about camp, because I hate talking about this stuff, but it is news. Linebacker Ephraim Asiata been charged with DUI. Give us, just fill us in what we know about the situation.
Yeah, he was arrested earlier this month, and BYU was he also presented like a fake name initially to investigators or to police officers initially. As far as the status with the team, that's still under review, and it's been framed with the university having that decision. So probably get more insight tomorrow with Kalani Sitake getting a comment officially from him. But Asiata, talented player, was defensive end, arrived at BYU, switched over to Rover linebacker last season, and probably was going to be more of a second team guy, third team. I say was, not like it's past tense, but if he's not playing, it doesn't make a dent in terms of the linebacking unit, which is a really deep group for BYU. But still, he's a guy that's faced so much adversity from that shooting at Hunter High and just the road that to become a D1 recruit after that. I mean, you hope that this all works out, and hopefully that this can be a positive story in the end. You look back on it and go, it's something that made him a better person, and hopefully he can work his way back to the football field. And there's been stories and examples in the past under Kalani of guys that have off-field issues that do work their way back to BYU. It's not always a Jake Retzloff situation or a Kingston situation where they're done immediately. But they're kind of waiting on a formal decision, I guess, from the university at this time.
What are the expectations, speaking of the linebacker room, for Kate Uluave and how good that group can be now that Jack Kelly's gone?
Yeah, he could be, one of the best linebackers potentially in the Big 12, and I think his speed too. With I think it's just real difference in that linebacking unit, and he was really good in spring ball, even dealing with a thumb injury where he's wearing a club, and Uluave it just is a really good fit for BYU, and I'm really excited to see what BYU does with him, and having Kelly Papinga working with the linebackers. I just think he's going to be an excellent fit. And I just think the way that he gets downhill, just makes plays, he's just so productive, and that him and Isaiah Glasker is going to be a great tandem. I don't think it's a situation where you just completely forget about Jack Kelly, but I just think BYU, they don't skip a beat. Yeah. They move forward, and they've even got depth at that linebacker unit with a guy like Jake Clifton, who came in from Kansas State off a mission. He transferred over to BYU. I think he's going to be a good player. They still got Ace Kafusi. It's a talented linebacking unit, and they've got those hybrid edge rushers with Nusi Taumaipeau, Hunter Clegg, who could play that defensive end, outside linebacker. They've also got a young guy in Braxton Lindsey, who was once a 4-star recruit pick, BYU over Oklahoma. He was one of the stars of the spring. I would not be surprised if we see him in the 2 deep. So that is going to be a loaded unit. But Uluwave, I think, leads the group, and Glasker's right behind him. But Uluwave is going to be he's going to be a captain type guy, leader of this program, face of the program. He's going to be huge for BYU this season.
So usually teams that have a lot of players back and upperclassmen are fun to cover, because usually those types of teams, win and are successful. Those types of teams, however, do not usually have interesting fall camps. Usually it's super boring, and writers like yourself are searching for any sort of storyline because there really isn't any in camp. The fun camps are when you don't know anybody and spots are all up in the air. So I guess with that in mind, what is interesting about camp? What is going to be the top stuff that you're going to be following?
I think that, how they honestly manage camp, because of all the players that were retained and decided to run it back, do they have the physicality? Kalani will always say they need to spar, they need to hit, they need to be physical. But how physical do you really need to be when you know what LJ Martin can do, when you know what Keanu Tanavasa, when he's at his best, what he can do? You got so many of those type of guys. Even Uluwave, who hasn't played a game at BYU, but you already know he's going to be an impactful guy, preseason first team all Big 12 guy. So do you create some more opportunities to really round out that depth and allow for some of those younger guys to get more snaps than you typically would give in a fall camp? Usually it's spring ball. I think I'm kind of curious to see how that's structured with BYU, to how much they balance the rest of the upperclassmen to then creating opportunities to really round out that roster. Because, this has been an interesting year with the roster where you've only got 105 spots again, but there's been no post-spring window. So any sort of, spots or players that are no longer with the team, you couldn't just backfill. You just kind of continue to roll with the guys that you had in spring. So there hasn't been many buckets to pull from in terms of adding new faces to the roster. There will be a few new guys, some RMs, some kind of deep in the weeds type players. But for the most part, the core guys you're going to see on Saturdays, it's the guys that were competing in spring. So having that health, and if you're a team like BYU that has high expectations to get to the playoff, you're envisioning a 15-game, maybe 16-game season. If it really stars align, you got to stay healthy and stay the course for this long grind. That's something I'm kind of curious to see how they manage in the next month or so.
Can BYU win the Big 12 if a star doesn't emerge at wide receiver?
No, I don't think they can. And I think that the wide receiver position is a big question mark. And that is a big story, too, to how they will fare at that spot. I think JoJo Phillips is probably the candidate you look at to be that number one guy. And this coaching staff really believes in him. They've recruited him since he was in 8th grade, even when all the big programs like the LSUs of the world backed off because of COVID. BYU stayed true to him, and that's why they got him. So I think that JoJo Phillips is going to be viewed as that number one guy. He was that in spring. Fesi Sitake even said as much. I think he'll have the pole position in fall camp starting out. Kyler Casper, 6'6" receiver from Oregon. He's intriguing, but there's just no, game film on him, really. It's 4 years of college football. It's just been injuries.
Yeah, you saw the high school dunk video, though, yeah?
There's something to that. He's got that ability.
He's a big-time athlete.
Yeah, he is. But does it carry over? I think that the Big 12, the secondaries in this league are much better this year. And I think that, I've seen many BYU receiver units of the past where, you think they're going to be good, and then they go up again. But when you don't have a clearly defined wide receiver one, it's how did you not get off the line of scrimmage all afternoon? Yeah. So I think that's something I'm really curious to see with this group. I do believe these freshmen, though, are going to be wild cards that could really elevate the potential floor and ceiling of this receiver unit, most notably Legend Glasker. But I'd also say 4-star Lone Peak prospect in Jaron Pula. I think he's the type of guy that maybe you could say he has the ceiling to maybe be that wide receiver one, but he could also be a guy that maybe doesn't pan out at all this season or have an impact this year. They've also got Tay Nakua, too, who kind of a mixed bag on him. He hasn't really made a dent at all during his BYU career, but he's got flashes, and he's shown in spring balls of the past, but can it materialize in the fall? Kind of waiting to see on that. So that is open season for whoever to establish themselves as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's all up for grabs, and I think that's the way they're approaching it going into camp.
Mitch Harper is with us, covers the Cougs for KSLSports.com. So they really slow played the offense for Bear last year. They rolled it out slowly. You can see it in the numbers. And by the end of the year, obviously, he was doing a lot more things than he was doing at the beginning. What is fair to expect from him this year?
He's got to, I think, be able to have a higher completion rate, around 70%, I think is something that should be a goal for him. I know that's what, Aaron Roderick has pointed to as a reference point that they've looked at in past BYU quarterbacks that have been the most successful over the last 50 or so years. 70% is kind of the target. And in the Aaron Roderick tenure, Zach Wilson, Jaron Hall, 2 NFL guys, they did that in given seasons, and BYU was really good in those respective years. So if he can do that, BYU will probably be right in the hunt to be in that Big 12 championship race. I think, with him too, I'm curious to see how, his deep ball accuracy, if that can become something that's more unlocked in his game, and how much they utilize him in the ground attack. But I think the thing is with Bear is that he has an ability to find ways to win. And I think that's an impressive skill that not maybe all quarterbacks or players have. And, he showed a lot of that last year in some spots where BYU's facing big deficits. I think that's going to be something that's important for Bear and this offense this year, is to not dig yourself a 14-0 hole at a Colorado like they did last year. Get off to a fast start, because I think people are going to scrutinize BYU or any Big 12 team with a fine comb. Like, you got to aesthetically look the part, like the days of the Mountain West and the WAC, where you almost got to hammer teams by huge numbers, which I don't think's reasonable anymore because of how much parity there is in college football these days. But the narrative will be you got to hammer teams, so they got the chance. They got to get out to quick starts, and I think that's got to be something for Bear to get this offense rolling. And I think they got to move with more tempo too. Last year, like you said, it was kind of a slow rollout, very, holding his hand until about the last month of the season. As he noted, the playbook is unleashed this year for him. And even Aaron Roderick said they got 3 or 4 different looks in any given play for Bear. He's going to have the keys to really run this thing at the line of scrimmage, call the right plays if he needs to check out of it. So this is Bear's offense, and he's got the full command. And it's an important year for Bear because, again, we know with quarterbacks, fans and people can turn on you quick. Mm-hmm. And with BYU's pipeline of some promising signal callers in the future, always got to continue to level it up, and I think Bear will do that. And I think that there's going to be some high expectation. I think he's going to deliver on a lot of that this year.
You touched on the thing that I think matters the most, which is he's a winner. That dude just knows how to finish games. He can come from behind, whatever. Do you think he's ever going to be like big arm talent quarterback? Do you think he can evolve into that type of player, which everyone loves, even if they don't win as much?
I don't think so. I mean, I think he's got the ability to be more accurate and show that arm off more, but I think that he's going to be a unique, great college quarterback that can just do a lot on the ground. And I think he's someone that's got the potential to be an NFL QB. Like right now, I wouldn't say we're looking at the future first round pick. Mm-hmm. He's got to work his way up to be something more like that. But I just think that, Bear, he's got a unique build, is the number, the name, everything about him is just kind of like he's a great college quarterback, and he's a good fit at BYU. And, keeping him healthy will be critical because, that Big 12 championship game when he hurt his ankle, I think BYU was still lost that game, but I think it altered things a bit because then he couldn't go deep at all because he was hobbled in that game. So I think he's still going to run. I think he's still going to try to make plays. But I think also, too, Bear has kind of broken out his personality a little bit more. I mean, he's made a concerted effort to really win over that locker room, even though they already had the locker room behind him last year. But the new faces, like the Pocky Finaus of the world, they told me he's going to be the starting left tackle that, Bear, the moment he arrived on campus, like Bear's getting to know him, knew everything about him, and basically, taking care of his offensive line, the cliche things with a quarterback, but he's doing everything in his power to really make sure that this whole team is aligned, and I think he's done a really good job of that.
Is there any better? Well, Does the Big 12 need to change how it schedules? And I don't even know if it's a bad thing, but Texas Tech doesn't play BYU or Utah. Texas Tech plays Houston out of the good teams in the league. And do they even play Arizona?
They got Arizona and Arizona State in Lubbock.
But nonetheless, a very easy schedule. And I don't know if that's even a problem, right? That's probably the easiest way to get a team into the college football playoff is with an easy schedule. I wish they would have done divisions. I mean, that establishes relationships. So I guess open-ended question, is there a better way they could do the schedule in the Big 12?
I think they got to have 3 permanent rivals for each of these teams. And, when I talked to the Big 12 football director, President Scott Draper, he even noted that they're going to be looking at that. They're already planning the 2028 scheduling opponents. A lot of it hinges on the playoff. If they go to the 2014 playoff, I think 10 conference games is right there. I think it makes all the sense in the world to go to 10 conference games and then have your one required Power 4 non-conference opponent, and then Group of 5 or Group of 6, FCS, whatever you want to go with that 12th game. That would make a lot of sense. But I think if you could get 3 permanent opponents, that would be, to me, the move because, in a situation with BYU, you have Utah, Arizona State, maybe Baylor as well, because that seems like a friendly rivalry. I don't know if you even call it a rivalry, but both faith-based institutions. I think that would make a lot of sense to me because the downside with the divisions is then you sometimes can not play teams home and away throughout your 4 or 5 years now in a college career, and that could be a downside. I think the Big 12 was just trying to figure out maybe if the schedule matrix because there was just no history with any of these programs, really. So they were kind of throwing darts at a board and trying to hope it would stick and work. And unfortunately, it's created where last year we're hoping to see BYU and Arizona State. We don't get that last year. We get it now without Sam Leavitt and without all those guys that beat BYU in Tempe in 2024. And then this year we don't see BYU and Texas Tech, which everyone would want that game in Provo this year. So hopefully they can find a little bit better balance. And again, if they go to a 2014 playoff, I think then the 10 conference games makes all the sense. You add additional inventory for your TV partners, and then you maybe can create more opportunities where you're seeing these teams annually.
Mitch, we appreciate you coming in person. It's great to see you, pal.
You bet, guys.
You hit them straight tomorrow, huh?
I'll try. It will probably be pretty ugly, but I'm going to be hacking a little bit, but I'm going to have a good time doing it, so it'll be fun.
What's the best part of your game, Mitch? You a long irons guy? You good off the
drive?
Off the
I can get some big drives, but that second shot, if I get like a good 285-yard drive, that second shot's going to it's going to be a mess. So that's my problem with my game, but I can get some big drives. So that's my strength at times on the tee box.
My strength is I'm good in the clubhouse.
I
can order, a beverage with the best of them. It's my specialty. Mitch, we would love all your work. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Mitch.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, what you got Wednesday is next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
On the under $3 menu at McDonald's, the sausage burrito is $2. So dip, drizzle, or douse to your heart's desire. Because no matter how you sauce your sausage burrito, it's still just $2 with McValue.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What you got Wednesday? What's the deal? Jake's got rules, Ben's out to steal. Bozo takes their spinning around. Flush it down, flush it down. Emo skater Ben with a devious grin. Jake rolls his eyes, lets out a sigh within.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is time for What You Got Wednesday. We do it every Wednesday. If you're new to the show, 2 5-selection drafts, 1 sports-related, 1 not. And then we put it out on the Talk Snap for a vote.
Christian, I didn't send you who won last week.
I'm glad you came on air and said that because as Jake was bringing us in a segment, I realized I didn't have that. And
so
I was
it didn't go up for a vote?
Oh, I went up for a vote. I did not send it to Christian yet who won.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man. Maybe I won't send it.
I think I won both. I felt like I had a pretty strong chance, but at least the LeBron one I thought I had nailed.
All right, do you want me to just read them,
Yeah,
Christian?
just
or do you
read
want me
it.
to say
Just
them?
read it.
All right. We did 2 drafts. Pull them up quickly. We did LeBron teammates. Jake, you crushed me. 79-21.
I hadn't won in a while, so that feels good.
And then we did musicians turned actors. You also won 65-35.
Oh, good week for me.
So you had you won both, so I have the number 1 pick in both drafts.
All right. What is today's sports-related draft?
Today we're going to go with guys who had it and then lost it.
All right, so there is some nuance to this, but the idea is players who were on top of the game and then fell off quickly.
Precipitously.
And it could be for various reasons, I suppose. But this is going to be one of those where we're all over.
I'm trying to not do it based off injury alone.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think I have anyone here who's directly for injury, but there are other reasons.
Is there a number 1 pick?
There is not an obvious number 1 pick. I don't think. This is not a draft I'm glad to have the number 1 overall pick in. Do you have like a way you're leaning? I'm not asking you to tell me.
I think there's actually an answer, but I don't know if it's going to get any votes.
So I worry that this is conflating a little bit with one-hit wonders also. But the number 1 name I thought of was Jeremy Lin, who out of nowhere, Linsanity was the biggest thing. And this dude was playing out of his mind and was awesome. And like actually ended up sticking around in the NBA longer than I would have thought, but was never more than like a backup guard.
No, I think 1,000% qualifies.
Jeremy Lin had it for a minute, and you're like, is this real?
And then
it went on just a little too long for you to just dismiss as like, oh, that's a funny week. And then it just didn't matter ever.
Well, the reason he lost it is the best. The reason he lost it is because Carmelo Anthony was injured, and then Jeremy Lin blew up, and Carmelo Anthony got jealous, and then he came back from injury and said,
that was fun.
That was fun while it lasted,
Yeah,
but this is my team, bro.
Yeah. I'll take it back now.
And then they went nowhere.
Yeah.
No, but that absolutely qualifies. All right. This is the one. This is what I actually think is the answer, but is not going to give me any votes.
Okay.
Is Chuck Knobloch. He went from Major League Baseball's best second baseman.
Chuck Knobloch, KNO.
Look it up, Christian. He went from the best second baseman in baseball. Like the Yankees signed him away from the Twins with a bananas offer.
Yeah.
And then he literally forgot how to throw to first.
He got the yips. He's one of the most famous yips in all of sports.
And then never recovered.
Yep.
And it was the dangest thing.
Yep.
It was not injury. It was not situation. He just forgot how to throw to first. I wonder how many All-Star games he made.
But he was a household name among American sports. He was just one of the guys. You were like, this guy's going to be one of the stars. And then just suddenly was nobody. Suddenly, truly couldn't play anymore. That's a very good pick.
He made 4 All-Star games.
And to the point where Christian says, who?
And won the World Series.
Rightfully so, kind of asked who. All right, good pick. I didn't have him on my list. I'm going to go with a guy we actually talked about recently. I didn't have him on my list until you just started saying Chuck Knobloch, though he doesn't play baseball. I don't know why this piqued my interest. Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth was the next Tiger, it felt like, for a minute. He's won 3 of the 4 majors?
Yeah.
Now he's like the 60th ranked golfer in the world. You never talk about him as like, does he have a chance to win this major? Like he was it for a minute. And Jordan Spieth somewhat dropped off. He could get back, I guess. He's still in his early 30s, but for a while I felt like we talked about him all the time the way we talk about Scottie Scheffler or Rory or whatever. And then he didn't have any staying power.
I consider Jordan, the reason I took him off my list is because I don't think he's lost it.
Okay. That's very fair.
You know, I think we've seen a zillion Jordan Spieths, guys that were like, oh, look at this, and then don't turn out to be as great as we thought.
I think that's totally fair.
But, I mean, it certainly qualifies.
Yeah.
Not disqualifying. Okay, now this one has a little nuance, but I think actually is, honestly, maybe the second best answer behind Knobloch. Andre Agassi.
Okay. Yeah.
But the key is Andre regained it.
He did. He brought it back.
He did bring it back, but he lost it. I mean, he went from number 1 to like number 500 seemingly overnight.
Mm-hmm.
He forgot how to play tennis. He had to get himself off crack, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
He dated Brooke Shields, married Brooke Shields, right?
Mm-hmm.
His life kind of fell apart, and then he's one of the great comeback stories in sports history. But he did go from on top of the world and did lose it.
It's a good pick. It's not the direction I would have gone, but I think it's a good pick. I think, again, totally qualifies. This is a list I thought was going to be difficult. Now I'm worried I'm not going to have enough names here. All right. Christian, I'm curious if you know this name because Jake will. Do you know who Tim Lincecum is? Tim Lincecum, for, 3 years? Giants won, 3 World Series over 5 seasons? I can't remember what it was. It was like every other year.
Uh-huh.
Tim Lincecum was the most electric pitcher in baseball. He was so fun to watch. He had this long hair. He looked like the young kid from Dazed and Confused, the 15-year-old kid who's hanging out with the older kids. Wiry body, but just electric stuff. Was probably the best pitcher in baseball. I think he won 2 Cy Young Awards. And it disappeared overnight. And Tim Lincecum is this kind of was a lock Hall of Famer on his trajectory and is not going to get anywhere close to it. But Tim Lincecum, I think, is one of the guys who for a minute there was one of the great athletes in the country and just kind of fell off.
You know what? I watched a TikTok on him a couple months ago.
Okay.
I do recognize the name now. The face, really, once I Googled it.
Yeah, once
hair.
you saw him. Yeah. He was super unique, really fun to watch. Little. He's 5'11". He's not a big kid. Electric, and then nothing. Weird.
It's funny. We have such diverging thoughts on this. I can't believe I have this one. I'm going to go with Cam Newton.
Yeah, good pick.
Cam Newton, you can pick the moment that his career ended. He was an MVP of the NFL. He was in the stinking Super Bowl, and he did not jump on that fumble, and his career was over after that.
Yep.
I mean, he went from the top of the league to out of the league in 2 years after he decided not to jump on that fumble in the Super Bowl. Cam Newton.
Yeah, it's a good pick. Absolutely not quite on my list, but was a name that jumped out to me as soon as we started talking about it. Because, his fall off to where he was a joke when he was with the Patriots. It's easy to forget.
A joke.
He was the best college football player for a few seasons, including obviously the national championship year, an MVP, got to the Super Bowl, and a laughing stock by the time he was done, which was not that far apart from each other.
There's only one season in college, but yeah.
Okay, one season, yes. Let's see. How many picks do I have left, Christian? 2 left. Oh, man, I don't want to waste these. I'm going to go with Sean Alexander. And it was a little bit due to injuries. But Sean Alexander was so good. He was the cover of Madden. Now, he kind of had the Madden curse. He was a part of that run of the Madden curse. Sean Alexander was so famous as a football player that they talk about him in the sitcom The Office. He was so relevant as a player that you could drop his name in to a sitcom and people would be like, yeah, I know who Sean Alexander is. I know who you're talking about. And went from 1,500-yard seasons to 600 yards overnight and then just he never did the Agassi. He never got it back, which is not super uncommon for running backs. There are other running backs you could put on this list. But Sean Alexander in Seattle in the early aughts, mid-aughts was so good. And then injuries and fell apart.
All right. I'm going to go with Anthony Hardaway.
Oh, okay, good pick.
Penny went from the next MJ when he was on the same team as Shaquille O'Neal, and they're going to the finals. And remember, it might not have been the best duo in the NBA at the time, but it was close, and it was definitely the coolest duo at the time. And Penny went from riding high to gone. Now, part of that was injury.
Injuries also.
But it wasn't one major injury per se. It was a few. But he was doing those Chris Rock commercials.
Had a little penny.
Yeah. I mean, truly. He did Blue Chips.
Yep.
Did that movie and then to gone. I mean, remember he tried to make a comeback with Phoenix and just wasn't going to happen.
He looked like the future face of the NBA. He and Shaq looked like they were going to be the best duo in the NBA for a long time, and it just fell apart. Shaq leaving and Penny getting hurt.
I mean, he was probably out of the league. I don't know, what, 2 years after Shaq left? 3 years after Shaq left, maybe?
But he should have been Kobe. He's
Yes.
more of a point guard than Kobe ever was, but should have been you're right, the next Jordan.
And he was that high profile.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah.
He was really good. All right, my last pick. All right, I'm going to go with local because I do not understand the drop off here. Tavion Thomas was unstoppable for about 9 games. Now, because Kyle Whittingham loved to start the wrong guy at several positions throughout his career. That was kind of always his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Tavion had some off the field issues and was a walking fumble early in his career after transferring from Cincinnati. But his last 8 or 9 games of his first season in Utah were ridiculous. The dude was absurd. Looked like as good a running back as we'd ever seen at Utah, which is saying something. And then the next year came back and lost his job. In fact, I don't even know if he started the first game. He just completely fell off. And again, he had some off-the-field issues, but he was awesome. And you thought him coming back for, I think it was going to be his 4th year, his senior season. I can't remember with the COVID stuff, if it was actually his senior year. But you thought he was going to come back and just be unstoppable. And you basically never heard from him again. It was so strange. But he was really good.
All right. I've been so on the right answer. I'm probably going to lose the vote on this because nobody's ever heard of this guy, but this is part of my point.
Okay.
Have you ever looked up the players that have hit 50 home runs in a season?
It's not many.
It's probably more than you'd think, but it is the who's who of baseball.
Yeah,
and
great.
especially if you look pre 2005, I mean, you look at these names and it's like Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into Albert Bell and Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and all this stuff. And then wedged in the middle there in 1996, a center fielder who was a leadoff hitter for the
Orioles.
Baltimore Orioles,
Yep.
Brady Anderson, hit 50 home runs out of freaking nowhere. Because he had a needle in his arm.
He had a needle in his arm.
And he decided he was just going to start jacking homers.
Yep.
And then disappeared.
Absolutely
After
disappeared.
1996. Just disappeared.
Yep.
Have you ever heard of Brady Anderson? Exactly.
Yep.
And he was this squirrely, fast, base-stealing second baseman that blew up to 250 pounds and started blasting home runs out of nowhere. Everybody thinks Mark McGwire when they think the steroid era or Barry Bonds. They should think about Brady Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
That should be the number one example of why steroids are bad for baseball. Because some Weasley center fielder can go from hitting. Look, if you look up his career stats, he's like 15 to 20 home runs every year of his career until 1996.
Boom, 50 home runs. Yep. Oh, I remember him. I was 10 years old. Baseball was having the biggest moment of my life at that point because, yes, the home run chase was on.
The glut.
And he was this weird other guy in the conversation where a few guys out of nowhere jumped up to 40. He jumped up to 50. Yeah. Chris Davis, by the way, did the same thing for the Orioles. But this was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Cal Raleigh, who was on my list. Oh, yeah. Well, let's recap and then we'll talk about some of these other names.
Ben, you had the number 1 pick. You went Jeremy Lin, Jordan Spieth, Tim Lincecum, Sean Alexander, and Tavion Thomas. Jake went Chuck Knobloch, Andre Agassi, Cam Newton, Penny Hardaway, and Brady Anderson.
Cal Raleigh last year, big dumper for the Mariners, who went to the World Series. He can't hit at all this year. Vlad Guerrero Jr. has not hit a home run in Toronto this season.
He's batting like 210 or something like that.
Was just electric. There's actually a couple of weird common names right now in baseball that belong in that conversation.
Donovan McNabb.
Donovan McNabb's a very good one.
He got old, though.
He just got old. Do you remember Josh Hamilton?
Yeah.
Now, he actually just had like a crack problem.
He had substance abuse
Real
problems.
substance abuse issues, but was electric as a hitter and like pretty athletic in the outfield and then totally fell off. Christian, do you know who Roy Hibbert is?
Yes.
Yeah, Roy Hibbert out of nowhere, like almost won Defensive Player of the Year. I think
He was great with the Pacers, yeah.
Went to the Lakers and just was a dog. Oh, he just totally fell off.
Andre Drummond was a little bit of that.
Drummond?
But see, this was the difficult part of the pick, though. Did those guys ever have it?
Correct.
At basketball, that gets tricky.
So this is the argument you picked. Who's the NBA player you picked? Not Penny. Somebody who... Cam Newton. I'm sorry, Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
Who doesn't jump on a ball in the Super Bowl and his career changes. It's Ben Simmons not taking a layup against
Did he ever have
but
it?
did he ever have it?
Yeah.
Cam did have it. No question, Cam Newton had it. Did Ben Simmons ever really have it to the level he told people he had it?
My answer would be no, thus I didn't pick Ben Simmons. But,
Eric Gagne is why we did this draft. We talked about him last week. He was a needle in the arm guy, most likely.
Oh, I think in the steroid era you could find maybe not a bunch, but a few guys like Eric Gagne or Brady Anderson, which were just awesome, and then just garbage.
Tariq Evans.
All right.
Won the Rookie of the Year, averaging 25-5, and then never did anything good ever again.
Yep.
Beat James Harden for Rookie of the Year. Never did anything that mattered.
What's our not sports?
Best pump-up songs.
Hype songs.
Hype songs.
Hype songs.
This is in honor of my daughter Sadie. I put together a playlist for her for the drive to soccer games to get hyped up. Is there an automatic number one pick?
I think there might be, but maybe it's my inner millennial showing. I have the number one pick. I think it's Lose Yourself by Eminem. I think that has become an anthem for people believing in yourself, committing, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, it's what the entire movie is about, writing that song so he will go to the rap battle and actually compete.
It's on my list, but it's a little too on the nose.
It is so on the nose.
All of these are going to be on the nose.
Probably, yeah.
My number one overall pick is going to be Thunderstruck.
Yeah, I've got it too.
AC/DC.
Yep.
Why
Not
are
on
you
the
laughing?
Not on the nose at all.
No, it is. It is on the nose, for sure.
I think you're totally right. Yeah. I can probably save this one because I don't think you're going to pick it. All right, this is going to be my last, the most on-the-nose pick, and that's We Will Rock You by Queen, which, again, is so on the nose.
Oh, there's a reason Queen songs lend themselves so easily to.
They're anthemic. That's what Queen does. But yeah, We Will Rock You by Queen. Again, everyone knows the song. It's easy to sing. It's loud. Conveys quickly. We Will Rock You.
All right, this is my Virginia Tech Hokie fan coming out. Enter Sandman.
Great. They do it in between the third and the fourth quarter?
No,
or they do it before
it
the game?
Before the game.
Okay.
It started out as like a student thing to get everybody in their seats.
Yeah.
By the start of the game, and it's turned into this crazy tradition.
And it works.
That
That song rocks. It's a great tradition. Yeah. Good pick. All right. I'm going to go with, this was the first one I put on my list. I love this song. X Gonna Give It To You by DMX. He also was weirdly anthemic for a rapper. Rest his soul. But X Gonna Give It To You by DMX. You could pick a lot of DMX songs.
I'm totally on the nose. Eye of the Tiger.
I have it number 2 on my list by Survivor. Mm-hmm. That's a good pick. It's just one of the
It goes with
songs.
Rocky, yeah. It is what it is.
It's easy, and everyone knows it, and it's smart. It's writing a hit that you know will be played at sports arenas forever. It's a really smart way to break through. Not to step on. Well, we can talk about it, and maybe the also one. I'm not going to draft it, but there are other songs that would apply. I'm going to go with. I wonder if this is going to give me any votes. I'm going to go with War Pigs by Black Sabbath.
Okay.
Has a great intro also. The same way Eye of the Tiger has a better intro than the actual song for sports stuff. War Pigs, the song rules. But the open is so good for sporting events or a starting lineup or whatever to kind of get the energy going quickly if the whole song maybe doesn't quite fit the hype song vibe.
All right. I'll go more well, no, I'm not going to do that. This may not give me votes, but it absolutely qualifies. Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine.
Great song. Yeah.
Man, Rage hit hard back in the day.
The lyrics are not a hype song lyrics, but the music is hype song music.
And the build-up is
great.
Is really hypey.
Yep. All right. I'm going to go with the best intro of any song probably of all time, and that's why you still hear it. And that will be Still Dre by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Everyone knows that bass line and the synthesizer or whatever it is. Changed the way music sounded in the early 2000s with the Chronic 2000 and then kind of shifted rap into a modern era.
What now? Let's see, Ben. I feel like I'm heavy on the rock, but I feel like that's kind of where we are. But you know what? I'll go with All I Do Is Win. DJ Khaled.
No matter what, yeah.
Not my cup of tea, but I think it gets some votes.
One. Yeah. No, I think it's a big one. Christian, what did you have some hype songs?
You guys don't have anything newer than like 2005.
Correct.
I think probably Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us.
Yeah.
Definitely some. I'm not even a Drake guy, but I mean, you ask anybody in the NBA now, they'll all say Drake.
Yeah.
Well, good thing they're not voting on this poll, Christian.
I guess. Well, you asked me.
Sicko Mode. That song.
Yeah.
That
Sicko
song
Mode's
rips.
great.
Welcome.
Mo Bamba by Sheck West is like a great hype song. That's a huge, wonderful hype song. Yeah.
Welcome to the Jungle, I thought.
Welcome to the Jungle, great. Yeah, very good pick. Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. That gets played a ton. They've kind of broken through. So.
We're Not Going to Take It by Twisted Sister.
Yeah.
Seriously, the first pick was Lose Yourself, and I'm pretty sure that is the newest song on this list.
No, DJ Khaled was after that.
Yeah, DJ Khaled.
Oh, yeah, DJ
You're
Khaled.
right.
Oh, that's right.
I thought of Thunder by Imagine Dragons, but I already had a song with Thunder in it.
Yeah, you can't have too much thunder.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
And we're millennials. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, we're 40.
Did we review? Do we need to
Christian
need a review?
Ben, you had the first pick. You went Lose Yourself. We Will Rock You. X Gonna Give It to You. War Pigs. Still Dre. Jake went Thunderstruck. Enter Sandman. Eye of the Tiger. Killing in the Name. And All I Do Is Win.
You might win this one again. You might win both. This might be 4 straight losses for me and Drax.
I don't know, man.
Well, hey, voicemails? Call in. What did we miss?
Yeah, what did we miss? Download the KSL Sports app, hit the voicemail feature, and let us know. We have a funny voicemail that we have to get to later in the show. I don't know if we wait. Maybe we'll wait till 5:50 to get to it. Christian, it's a mystery. I don't think it's a mystery, but we could let people weigh in. Stay tuned. We'll get to that coming up. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top.
No crazy soundbite slips past these guys.
I came here for the same reason people go to the zoo.
This is another edition of the Audio Vault with Jake and Ben. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. It is time for the Audio Vault, the best sound of the day. We have battling LeBron songs today, Ben. And honestly, this is me a little bit behind the times because usually I'm pretty up to date on goofy, stupid songs. But I missed a LeBron song about him being with the Lakers.
Okay.
What is it called, Christian? It's like Man with the Lakers. Man on the Lakers. As opposed to Man in the Mirror, the Michael Jackson.
Okay. Not Man on the
But
Run.
I missed this whole Man on the Lakers thing. And now somebody with Philly has recreated it, but with Sixers lyrics. So we'll listen to a little bit of the Lakers one, and then we'll listen to the Philly one.
Can't wait.
All right, here's the Lakers one.
Feels so good and make a big difference if I could see him play. As I go to my living room, don't know what I'm gonna do if I hear he ain't gonna play. 'cause I made a bet or two that he's gonna shoot 10 threes, get 10 rees, and then the Lakers ain't gonna lose. And they got Luka Doncic, A. Reeves, and then LeBron, the real big three. They gave up AD because they needed change, and you got to say his name. His name is LeBron James. I'm talking about the man on the Lakers.
Okay. All right.
That was so much better than I expected
So
it to be.
there you go. The man on the Lakers.
It was really good.
Okay. So what's better, the man on the Lakers or the man on the Sixers? All right. You ready?
I can't wait.
Here we go.
His name is LeBron James, and he plays for Philly.
This one has 2 verses,
Why is it so
too.
slow?
And it would feel so good and make a big difference if I can go and see. As I go to my living room, don't know what I'ma do if I hear he ain't gonna play.
Okay, he's just stolen all the lyrics so far.
Pretty close.
That he's gonna shoot 10 threes, get 10 reads, and then the Sixers ain't gonna
I like the pacing of the original.
and they got JB, LeBron, and MB, the real big three.
Notice Maxey and Edgecombe not in
They
there.
gave up PG because they needed change. And you got to say his name. His name is LeBron James.
That's the best part.
I'm talking about the man on the Sixers. LeBron, I'm asking you to say his name. LeBron James. No message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look in the sky and say his name, yeah. LeBron, 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 LeBron. LeBron is who we love, the best there ever was. It's time they are realized. Now that the king is gone and he's on a new team, what do we go watching on the TV screen? Lakers had Luka done, but if it's no LeBron, you won't see me. What don't
Well, shot
you
of
see
Luka there.
past all the Cavs and the Miami Heat? But out of all these other teams, the team they picked was Philly. I'm talking about the man on the Sixers.
All right. I like the first voice.
Well, the beat sounds very similar to mine. I mean, it's obviously it's a cover of Man in the Mirror.
But the best part about that one is like what we just heard. LeBron James.
Yeah, he's. Both of these are better than I expected. That is the modern miracle of what we have with technology. I can't help but think.
What kind of sick people would actually put
What
the
kind
time
of
into doing that?
weirdo people? The fact that I've now convinced myself in the last 24 hours that this LeBron to Philly thing's going to be a disaster. And how many teams are really happy about their LeBron experience? As we zoom out, as we get further removed from it.
Oh, I think Cleveland is. I
Cleveland,
think
no question.
Miami is.
Miami should be, though. Honestly,
It
there's
didn't
an
end well.
argument that they underachieved.
Yeah, but I still think they.
4 years, they made the finals all 4 years, and they lost to both to teams they should not have lost to.
No, they should have lost to those Spurs. That Spurs team was really good.
It was. I'm not sure it was as good as LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, et cetera, et cetera.
It was really good.
It was good.
But I put Dallas in that category. Sure, I agree with you. But I bet they're happy. I bet the Lakers are telling themselves they're happy, but they probably aren't.
One title, 8 years.
And a goofy title, like a almost hide behind it title, you know?
There's going to be a weird realization when we remember that LeBron won one title over the final 10 years of his career. That will kind of change the perspective of him. And will reestablish, again, as much as I hate this argument, that Michael is probably the greatest player who's ever lived. Even if LeBron James's resume is unimpeachable, Jordan's is just so pristine.
Say that stat again.
1 title over the last 10 years.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's a black eye.
And it was a Mickey Mouse title.
But
so I don't even count it, really?
Yeah, there's an asterisk.
It'll be weird. It'll be weird how people view that.
Well, we know how LeBron will view it. The greatest of all time.
Single greatest title anyone's ever
According
won.
to LeBron.
Now, his title with Cleveland, beating the Warriors,
kind of,
is one of the great titles of all time.
No, I mean, it was a great comeback to come back from down 3-1. But, I mean, the circumstances surrounding that even made that one weird.
Mm-hmm.
With Draymond Green
Absolutely.
shenanigans and Steph Curry was hurt and all this stuff. But, yeah, sure.
But that's his last great title. And his greatest title, no question.
The man on the Sixers.
Well done to those people.
Really?
I like the Lakers one better.
All right.
But
stay tuned. Live at 5 next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's the best station, period.
Let's be honest. These guys have the best job on the planet.
You come to work in a frickin' bathrobe?
So if you're out there working hard, you should also expect your radio hosts to put in an honest day's work. So, of course, Jake and Ben are live at 5 with the biggest headlines and the best analysis in Utah. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5. The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time for Live at 5, brought to you by our friends at Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 855-TRAJAN-1, or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com.
this song came out in 2004, by the way.
Did it?
So, no. Not the song.
Then it was a
you're thinking
different
of.
Blink
Different
song?
Anyways,
I'd
neither
have to
here nor
look it
there.
up.
Yeah. Not important.
Not important. Ben, this morning, PK was hanging out with Riley Jensen because DJ is off on vacation, I think. Actually, I have no idea what DJ is doing. Something very DJ-like.
Yep. Something important.
What would a DJ vacation be? Something like definitely a Sports Hall of Fame type vacation.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Cooperstown or
something like something
along those lines.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that? But Jay Hill came on with them this morning.
Good get.
And, Jay's awesome. He's a great interview. He's now the defensive coordinator in Michigan. Let's play a clip from Jay because they did talk to him about moving on to Michigan. And here's Jay Hill talking about bringing Witt's defense to Ann Arbor.
You spent over a decade on Kyle Whittingham's staff. And then obviously you were the head coach at BYU, transitioned to BYU, made them one of the top defenses in the country over the past 3 years. If you think back on your career and on those transitions, what core defensive philosophy has traveled with you through every stop? And is there anything that you've had to change at Michigan, either as far as philosophy goes or personnel?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I watched Kyle when I was a player and a young coach called his defense. I watched Gary Anderson call it. I watched Kalani call it. Everybody puts their own flavor and flair on it. I got to call it at Weber State. And one thing that was cool about that is I could try new things and it might not work. And you know what? Probably nobody knew. And Weber State was so amazing for me because I could really pinpoint and hone in on what I wanted to become as a play caller, as a head coach, as just an assistant coach. I just had so much growth and development. So going back to the question, I believe you got to be able to stop the run. No matter what the offensive scheme is, because they're all different, you got to be able to stop the run. I believe in man coverage when you can do it. Now, I'm not just going to force man just to force it, but I do believe in man coverage because it makes quarterbacks throw tight windows. And if you do it properly with good technique, everybody should be covered. Beyond that, I believe in keeping quarterbacks on their toes and not knowing what's going on in the secondary. So I think we do a good job with disguises. And then I want to keep them on their toes by not knowing if we're in man or cover 2 or cover 3 or whether we're blitzing. So we tried to do a good job of disguising, a good job of mixing it up. So if you're asking me like what I believe in, keep quarterbacks guessing on what's going on, make sure you can play some man coverage, and you got to do things to stop the run.
All right, so that was Jay talking about taking the Witt defense to Michigan, which I think is a great storyline and something that I will be following.
Absolutely.
Witt's defense at a big-time school.
A Big Ten school specifically.
At Michigan, I think is a huge storyline. I think whether Jay and Witt and Jason Beck succeed or fail, I think is a huge storyline. I think what Utah and BYU have done to replace those coaches, also a big storyline. I think that Michigan is a big storyline here this year. But, Ben, there was some controversy on the voicemails, and I'm curious. I want to get listeners' opinion. I want to know. We've got to program shows.
Yep.
We've got to talk about things. We have to find things that are interesting and talk about what our listeners want to talk or want to hear about. A grand misconception about sports radio. We don't talk about what we want to talk about.
Correct.
Hopefully we're talking about what listeners want to listen to. And sometimes we are better at that than others. But rest assured, this radio show is not here for us. It's here for the listeners.
Pulling back the curtain.
Point. Yeah.
Some of the things we talk about are probably not the things you and I are most specifically interested in. That doesn't mean we're not interested in. We like the job.
Sure.
We enjoy what we're talking about. But the storylines we care about or are more focused on may not be what most of the audience is interested in.
I had a coworker once who said, "You got to talk about what you're passionate about." And it's like, dude, do you think I'm passionate about the backup point guard battle for the Utah Jazz? No.
Not particularly.
But do people want to hear about the backup? I'm picking something random.
Sure,
but
right.
Backup point guard battle for the Utah?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's what people want to hear about. So it's kind of funny. So I think that Michigan this year will be a relevant topic. I will certainly be following it. But let's listen to a couple of these voicemails that were left for DJ and PK, but we are hijacking. Let's start off. Let me get a name here, Christian. Let's start off with Braden and what he had to say.
Okay, so here's my thing. I see no reason as to why we're actually talking about Michigan. The moment that Jay Hill and the moment that Kyle Whittingham and everybody at Utah left Utah or BYU, then, I don't know, to Utah sports, they became irrelevant. I mean, yeah, sure, they're still recruiting here, but don't give them the airwaves. Stick to our Utah teams.
All right. There's Braden's thoughts.
Let me ask you this. Who do you think Braden is a fan
of? Turn signaling.
Other than that, which thank you for using your signal.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Braden. I don't know. Why?
I'm curious if we will find a theme of who wants to know less about this, whether they're a BYU fan or a Utah fan.
Well, if you're asking who's probably more bitter about the topic, I would guess Utah fans.
That would be my guess also.
But I would guess Utah fans are also way more dialed in. Like, I have no idea what Braden, what kind of fan he is. But if he's a Utah fan, he's going to be watching everything that happens in Michigan.
I would think so, too.
Because it is directly related to a decision made by your university to basically move on from Kyle Whittingham to Morgan Scalley. It's entirely related.
It's a perfect scenario. You can love Witt and be mad at Utah and hope he succeeds in Michigan to prove Mark Harlan or whoever wrong. Or you can hate Witt and hate watch the Wolverines and hope that they lose every game. It's really easy to watch, though. It's really easy to talk about and care about.
Let's now hear from Randy, who also weighs in on the topic.
Morning, guys. Long-time listener to the program. Long-time BYU fan. But I was born in Columbus, Ohio. When I hear you guys start talking Michigan football, I reach up and hit the button on the radio and shut it off. I'm not going to sit here and listen to anything about Michigan football. So, have an enjoyable season. I'm out.
Hardcore.
Can't believe people are still ending phone calls with "I'm out." Speaking of things that are from like 30 years ago.
Uh-huh.
But now, maybe he's a special circumstance because obviously he's an Ohio State fan as well as a BYU fan.
Uh-huh.
So particularly doesn't like Michigan. But from a BYU standpoint, how Jay Hill does at Michigan is absolutely relevant. because of the candidates to be a head coach at BYU someday, and I'm not predicting Kalani's demise by any means, but someday, Jay Hill is on that list. And
Did you say at Michigan or at BYU?
Or at BYU.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Also
if
at
I
Michigan.
said Michigan, but
Also
maybe
at Michigan,
also
yeah.
at Michigan. You know, how he performs is certainly relevant to BYU. And BYU's certain trajectory as a defense under Kalani was a lot of mediocrity until he hired Jay Hill, and the defense went to the next level. So now does that magic continue with our buddy K-pop going up? We're going to be golden. That is a big story. Can Kelly Papinga live up to the legacy that Jay Hill created at BYU, even though it was a short one? It was a very relevant one.
Of course.
Their rise in the Big 12 coincided with Jay Hill and his defense.
We had Mitch Harper on the show earlier, and he said there's a world where you can conceivably talk about Kalani finding his name into the same conversation as Lavelle. And Mitch says, I wouldn't have believed that. I can't remember what he said, 3 years ago. What happened 3 years ago? Jay Hill jumped from Weber State to BYU and changed everything. That doesn't mean Kalani's not a great coach. I'm a big Kalani believer. Jay, his arrival at BYU was immediately related to BYU's liftoff as a serious contender in the Big 12. Absolutely. So I'm totally with you.
So my question, I guess, to our listeners is...
Is that all of our voicemails? Okay.
Yeah, for now. My question to our listeners is Michigan, is that a relevant topic? At Michigan.
But yes, I think I think it is. In fact, I think there's a real argument, contrary to Randy and
Braden,
that Witt and Michigan and Jay Hill might actually be the most interesting storyline in college football locally this year. I think there's a world where both BYU and Utah are good and not great, and are third and fourth place teams in the Big 12. I hope not. It'd be way more fun to talk about Utah and BYU being top 10 teams and competing for the college football playoff. It's just not guaranteed, and you're one injury away always. That because Witt can't get injured and lose his job, and Jay Hill is there, that ends up being a storyline that I actually think personally is more unique than another good, not great season from BYU or another good, not great season from Utah, even though Morgan Scalley taking over as a head coach is a huge deal. Papinga coming in as the defensive coordinator is a huge story. I do think there's a world where Witt being at Michigan is a more interesting story.
More interesting. Yeah. I mean,
it's certainly more nationally relevant.
Well, way more, but that's because it's Michigan.
But it's not like we're going to talk about it because it's nationally relevant. We're talking about it because it's Kyle Whittingham, who was the most important coach in our state over the last 20 years.
Well, we never saw Lavelle coach somewhere else. I never saw Frank Beamer coach somewhere else.
Never saw Jerry Sloan coach somewhere else.
Never, yeah. I mean, I think that makes it relevant. But
Jerry did technically before the Jazz, but sure.
Yeah, after, though. We're talking about these
after their legacies.
Coaches had these legacy runs, and then we just didn't see them coach anywhere else. I do think that it makes it relevant in and of itself. I mean, your legendary coach is somewhere else coaching right after he got done. And the fact that Utah ran Kyle Whittingham out, and maybe people will say that's a little extreme, but let's be honest. If you lowball the coach with a crappy contract that they're never going to take, that is just as good as asking them to leave. That's what El Cheapo did to Calabro.
Tiago Splitter.
Wow, you can say that too.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Calabro. Yeah,
except
absolutely.
for Tiago Splitter is far from
but
a
yes,
legend.
to the play-by-play voice of
Kevin Calabro, he said the offer that I received was subprime. They wanted him to leave, so they offered him a crappy deal that he could never accept.
It was untenable.
The details in that contract that they offered Kyle Whittingham were no coach would have taken those.
Correct.
They took away all of his power.
Correct.
They took away all of his authority to make decisions. They basically gave it to Morgan. They said he had to march up to the athletic director's office even to make the most basic of decisions. He was never going to take that.
Correct.
So running out the established guy only for him to take a better job right away, I find really interesting. And I guess whether fans will admit that it's interesting or not maybe is the question. But to get that reaction, I guess the reason I found this segment interesting is because I'm surprised Jay, who's beloved by everybody.
Should be everybody. He did nothing but make everyone better he touched here.
Utah, Weber State, BYU. Even Utah State tried to hire him, a couple of times? I mean, a dude who came on this station weekly when he was the head coach at Weber State.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we wanted to have him on as the head coach at Weber State because he's charismatic and everybody loves Jay Hill. For a good reason. He's a good coach and a good member of the community, person, all those things. I wouldn't expect somebody like Jay to generate that. Not that it was Jay hate by any means, but, we're done with these guys. You can't talk about Michigan. I don't know. I think it's compelling.
Not to argue with the opinions of Braden or Randy, because they're
relevant.
They're telling the truth.
That's why we're playing it.
That they are calling in to leave a voicemail because this is how they feel. I think that's totally fair. But as you mentioned, we do have to program the show, and how much do we talk about things, and somebody who specifically has focused on the Utah Jazz, I can tell you, behind the scenes, I'll pull back the curtains and tell you the two biggest stories I've written about the Utah Jazz, I think, in the last 4 years, since the rebuild started, were Donovan Mitchell got engaged and Rudy Gobert's girlfriend or whatever, baby mama, split. Neither of those players has played for the Utah Jazz since 2022.
In quite some time, sure.
And the biggest stories about the Utah Jazz over the last 4 years, that includes 8 draft picks, 3 lottery picks, 4 lottery picks, and all this Lowry Markkanen becoming an all-star. Yeah, the all-star game being here. The biggest stories are Donovan Mitchell got engaged and Rudy Gobert's baby mama left. Or Rudy broke up with her. Yeah, we're going to be paying attention to Kyle Whittingham. And when I say we, I don't mean Jake and I mean the state of Utah.
Well, here, all our call-ins, what they're kind of getting at. When Gary Anderson went from Wisconsin to Oregon State, and Scott Barnes was the athletic director at Oregon State, there were hosts on this station, including myself, that had relationships specifically with Gary Anderson. And Gary, being a Utah guy, and Gary likes us and likes doing radio, would come on even though he was the head coach at Oregon State. And so people started clowning us, calling us 1280 the Dam.
That's funny.
Yeah, or 1280 the Beef, which was super funny.
Very funny.
And you know what? Those listeners had a point. We love Gary, and Utah had an association with Oregon State, but it's not like Oregon State was USC or...
Correct.
It's not like Oregon State. They were even in a different division, so it's not even like they were entirely relevant.
Yeah.
So when we got criticized for that, I kind of thought, yeah, you probably have a point.
Yeah, it might be fair.
I mean, I don't know how much Oregon State content we really need to get out there because of a coach who coached at Utah and Utah State 2 stops before. I think this is different. I think this is different because of the way that it went down, the way that they left. Gary Anderson left Utah State for Wisconsin because he was the hot coach, not because Utah State ran him out.
Did Utah lose a running backs coach to USC?
Yes.
Do you remember his name?
No.
Did we ever talk about him?
Probably not.
It's not a story. That actually doesn't matter that much.
Well,
it matters internally. That matters with the minutia of Utah.
That coach wasn't a head coach. I think it's
no,
different.
exactly. That's exactly my point.
Right.
It's exactly my point. I don't think there's just this infatuation or lack of imagination of why you would talk about Gary Anderson at Wisconsin or at Oregon State, or why we would talk about Kyle Whittingham at Michigan, or why we would have talked about Kalani at Penn State,
yeah.
Or why we've talked about Mark Pope at Kentucky. Now, we haven't gone crazy about Mark Pope on Kentucky, but we followed it. We'd probably bring it up maybe once a week. When they were struggling, we talked about it more than that. It is an interesting storyline. That stuff does matter.
This was before you guys, but we talked about Urban in Florida a lot.
All the time.
In 2005.
Absolutely, I'm sure. And rightfully so.
Yeah.
So there will be some fans who don't want to hear Michigan. There are going to be people who that is a very sore subject because they either love or hate Kyle Whittingham. And I think that's totally understandable. I'm not here to dismiss anyone's opinion, but the idea that it's like not a relevant storyline is false.
I agree. But I'm curious to hear feedback. That's why I wanted to play
Absolutely.
that. I bet,
I'm glad they called in.
Yeah, I'm glad they called in too, and I'm sure that they're not the only people with that opinion. So if you want to weigh in, do the voicemail feature on the KSL Sports app. Download it, and it's pretty easy. You can record a message and send it right to Christian here in the control room. And we, of course, always encourage you to do so. We will have more coming up next. It's Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I think the engine's stalling out on me.
Yeah, that don't sound right.
Dang, got a lot more miles to go.
Nah, be okay, mate. You ride with Geico Motorcycle Insurance and got their 24/7 emergency roadside service. They'll be here with a tow in no time.
Good, because these boots weren't made for walking.
Those riding boots are pretty sweet.
Oh, you like?
Do you think they come in a size 1 inch?
I don't know.
It feels good to ride with help. It feels good to Geico. Emergency roadside service is optional coverage.
Just doing it big, you know?
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
No, I don't. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Ben, we got some feedback from our last segment on the Talk Snap.
Uh-huh.
We were talking about, is Michigan relevant? Jay Hill was on the station this morning. But I thought it was a great interview, by the way. Go to kslsports.com or wherever you get your podcasts, and you can give it a listen there if you want. I thought it was a great conversation. But Aaron tweets at us, and he says, you want feedback? Yes, we do. He says, don't talk Michigan football on Utah local sports radio. I don't hate Jay for leaving. I just don't have any investment into Michigan sports. I couldn't care less what he thinks or how he does when he's there. I don't know if I... Okay, Lloyd, or Aaron Lloyd, don't get me wrong. I believe you, but I kind of don't. I think you do. I don't think you have investment in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And I would guess that, well, Aaron could be a BYU or Utah fan or whatever. You're not invested in Michigan. You're invested in Jay and Coach Witt and Coach Beck. Because it is a reflection on your programs. If it was some other random that got hired at Michigan, then no, I totally agree with you. Why would we be breaking down Michigan football on Utah local sports? I understand that logic.
Uh-huh.
But Kyle Whittingham is Utah football, not Michigan football.
Right.
He is for now, but he's Utah football. And Utah's directly related to him being the coach at Michigan.
And he will be back at Utah, not as a coach, but he will be back in the fold.
At some point.
At some point.
I would guess.
Yeah.
And how that goes. I, if for no other reason, Ben, we in this market kind of hero worship our own. We think that we think that Jerry Sloan was the greatest basketball coach.
Well, we've just talked about the bizarre tenure that seemingly every coach gets in the state of Utah. There are exceptions, Ty Corbin, et cetera, but Quinn was like the second or third longest tenured coach.
Yeah.
In the NBA by the time he left.
We fall in love with our guys.
Yeah.
And we think they're geniuses.
Witt, Kalani, Lavelle, Ronnie Mack.
Doesn't part of you, and the proverbial you, wouldn't part of you love to have seen how Lavelle Edwards did coaching Detroit?
Yeah, how they did with the Lions.
Wouldn't part of you kind of want to see how it played out with Rick Majerus at USC?
Kalani at Penn State?
Or Kalani at Penn State. Part of you to see, is this coach that we fell in love with really a genius, or is it proximity?
Mm-hmm.
Is Coach Witt really a genius, or is he just here? And now he gets a chance to prove his whole thing at a different school, different location, different resources, all that. I'm curious to see what Jay Hill talked about, Whittingham's defense, how that does in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
We've never seen it.
We haven't.
We've seen Ohio State carve it up in the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Penn State run over it in the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Utah shut down Michigan under Jim Harbaugh, and that defense really succeed.
Saw Northwestern beat Utah in a bowl game.
But what happens?
10-3.
What happens when that defense is at? I mean, will offend some people, I guess, but the highest level when it's playing against Ohio State. How was it Witt or was it Utah? Is that an easy way to break it down? Was it the coaching prowess of Kyle Whittingham, Or is it something in the sauce at the University of Utah?
What happens when Whit has Bryce Underwood, the former number 1 overall recruit at his position at quarterback? Whit with a quarterback has always been the dream, and when he had Cam Rising, look at what he could do. He could get to the Rose Bowl in back-to-back years. Underwood should be way better than Cam Rising was. So what happens, now that you got a Whit defense with the type of offensive firepower that Whit wouldn't, resisted having at Utah?
All that stuff is interesting.
I'm totally with you.
But to the call-in and the Snap Talker here's point, I don't think it's Michigan we're talking about on Utah local sports radio. I think it's our local figures that happen to be in Michigan.
You and I are not going to be breaking down the offensive line at Michigan and how they played week to week.
No.
Or is that the weakness of the roster? You're not ever going to hear that. No, but you'll hear Kyle Whittingham. I do think what we are experiencing, though, is totally understandable, but this is, it's Yelp reviews. Generally, you go and you have a pretty good time at a restaurant. You're not going home and getting on Yelp and saying, yeah, it's good. That's like exactly what I expected. You either had a horrendous time and you're going to go on Yelp and be like, the server forgot about us, they overcharged us, they didn't bring the right food, the food was cooked wrong, whatever it was. That's when you're going to get on and leave a review for something. They totally messed up. I'm angry about it. That's why. So I think that's probably a little bit of what we're hearing. And by the way, that's not to say your opinion isn't justified. I think people get to be frustrated, hurt, whatever, not want to hear it. I do think that's part of it. I do think there are more people not calling in, not messaging us, who say like, yeah, of course I'm interested. It's Kyle Whittingham. It's Jay Hill. It's all these former Utah players.
Again, Aaron, who gave us the feedback, I actually think you are interested, Aaron. But I'm not going to tell you what to think, so maybe you're not. And you shared with us you're not. But I think deep down you are. I am. I'm interested to see how it goes. So we'll approach this topic with I don't know, we won't talk about it all the time, but we're certainly not going to ignore it.
Well, the pie in October is not going to be 25% Utes, 25% BYU, 25% Jazz, and 25% Michigan.
No. Oh, our topic pie.
Our topic pie.
The pizza place.
No, or Razzleberry. No, I'm not. No. Our topic choice, no, Michigan is not going to get a quarter of the coverage that we talk about with our 3 other main teams here, or, bring in Utah State and bring in, I'm not trying to dismiss anybody here. I don't think anyone's expecting that.
But Witt's taking the podium tomorrow at Big Ten Media Days.
Yes.
There's not going to be a ton else to talk about. Yeah. So we probably might play a little bit of Witt.
I got to tell you, I'm curious to hear what he says.
And guys.
I really am.
Oh, if Witt, week 2, September 12th, Michigan plays Oklahoma. You beat Oklahoma, an SEC school, in Witt's first real game at Michigan? Huge story. Witt gets smoked by Oklahoma in his first real game?
Huge story.
It's a huge story. I just that part of it is a little bit unavoidable.
All right, we have a voicemail controversy, speaking of our voicemails.
Jeez.
And I've heard this, but you have not. So I'm curious to hear you weigh in on the controversy. We will get to that coming up next. It's Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Not only do these guys give you the best Jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airwaves, talking sports. They got it made, Jake's and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
So hype songs could be Motley Crue's Kickstart My Heart and Ozzy Crazy Train. Come on, let's get it. By the way, this is Chris calling from Idaho.
This is for the Jake and Ben Show.
First, we all need to buckle up for the bear raid offense of BYU this year. Go Cougs! Second, Christian, I'm still waiting on that Minky I won a couple weeks ago. Third, you could have gone with Whatever It Takes or Natural by Imagine Dragons. Can't Hold Us by Macklemore also would have been a good one.
All very good selections. The first one was Chris, and then followed by Jake. We appreciate you not only listening, but leaving a voicemail. All very good.
Christian will deliver that Minky to you.
Personally. No travel distance is too far. We don't know where you live, Jake.
The further, the better.
Yeah, I got a new car.
We hope it's Elko.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for leaving those. We do have a voicemail controversy. All right. Now, what is the name of this? Brett. All right. So here's the thing. Brett left this voicemail at what time?
In the morning?
3:41 in the morning.
Okay.
Now, is this legit or an act? Okay. Are you ready?
Let's hear it.
Go ahead, Christian.
Hello, everybody. This is just the time of the life with the Larry Carey show. We're talking to Bacon Jim. It's the greatest show other than the BJ and TK show. Scotch and Papa Roach. Whoa, wait a minute. Double mint, the pleasant of double mint gore. Man, I talked to Christian Tabernacle Choir. Cats in the wall, everybody. Here we go. We got Wrigley Double Mint Guru. Everybody have a Budweiser. Good night, friends. I love you.
It's the best call-in we've ever had. No question about it. I think it's real.
No, there's no way.
You think that's
fake?
fake?
It's so fake. And it does. I don't think it's our best call-in ever because I think it's he lays it on way too thick. And even kind of a nod to Harry Carey at the beginning. But the fact that it was submitted at 3:40 in the morning is interesting.
Okay, so walking through the logistics, where do you record that? He's screaming into his phone.
Uh-huh.
So you're talking about a person who's by themselves in a house. That does open up opportunities to engage in different activities, whatever they are, that you can't when you have kids at home or you can't. So there is some already legitimacy to the idea that that is accessible, whether you think it's intoxication or just kind of your natural approach to life. You go at it a different way than most people do. I think that becomes more plausible that he's talking that loudly at 3:41 in the morning that could what's the word I'm looking for? Reflect the behavior of the phone call.
Cats in the wall, everybody. Here we go.
Okay, can I tell you why?
There is enough linked to get. If you had recorded that at 11 in the morning, fake. Nobody is, if he's drinking, well, not nobody, but that's a lot of alcohol for 11 in the morning. That is where a lot of people find themselves at 3:40 in the morning.
Exactly. Well, 3:40. That's the only reason I'd even kind of consider it. But let me tell you why I am not.
Okay.
Have you ever heard? Well, you've seen the movie Leaving Las Vegas with Nick Cage. For those of you that aren't familiar, and he won an Oscar for this. He was an alcoholic, and the movie's about his alcoholism, basically.
Drinks himself to death.
He does, which is huge downer. But Nick Cage talked about when he was preparing for the role, he spent some time studying alcoholics and all this sort of thing. And, he's probably overdone it a time or two himself.
Yeah.
But what he said was, and why the key to his acting performance is he realized that people who are, blackout drunk are trying to act sober.
Right.
They're trying to act sober, but they fail. So it's why it's kind of slower and they try to be precise.
Yes.
This, and if you, ever since I heard that, whenever I've talked to somebody who's overdone it, You can tell.
The worst drunk acting are the people trying to act drunk.
They are, yes, that's what I'm saying.
The best drunk acting are people trying to act sober.
Trying to act sober, but they can't.
Yes.
This strikes me as somebody who's trying to act drunk, not somebody who's drunk trying to act sober. Like, play the first little bit of it again.
I have seen people.
Hello, everybody. This is just the time of their life with the Glary Carey show. We're talking to Bacon Jim.
It's just a little too precise of the misnaming. You know what I mean?
You're right. No, because I had the same thought too early on, and the longer we got into it, the more I started to believe it, that this is actually whatever is going on at 3:40 in the morning, that this is authentic and not an act. Because I had the same doubts, certainly. There are enough things there to me that make me believe that that's a real call, and I did love that call. But I get where you're coming from. And you're right, yes. If you've ever been to a restaurant, a wedding, I'll say wedding, because all of our listeners have been to a wedding.
Where someone has
overdone it.
Yeah.
Watch them walk to the bathroom. They try and walk in a straight line. They open the door to be polite to make sure no one thinks they're I'm totally cool.
Stumbling all over the place.
And they're a mess. But they're trying to act sober.
They're trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
Like if he would have misnamed our show Bacon Ben or so, I don't know. But
Bacon Jan is a little too on the nose.
Too much.
You're right.
It's
okay.
too much.
I'll listen to you. You're right.
It is funny, but if it's fake, it does ruin it for me a little bit. Either way, who was it, Brett?
Thanks for the call.
Well done, Brett. You know what?
Thanks for the voicemail.
We got a couple of laughs and a segment.
Had a good time.
Yes, we did. And a drop. We'll keep that cats in the wall.
Cats in the wall, everybody. Here we go.
Yeah, we'll keep that.
We'll keep it.
So shout out to Brett. If it is legit, Brett, go to bed a little earlier.
Yeah. 3:40 is late.
Save it for a Friday night, not a Tuesday.
Call it a night at midnight.
Yeah.
All right. 6 o'clock hours next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We all have routines. I'm Jabron, and with diabetes, mine was finger sticks. Sometimes I skip them because they hurt. The Freestyle Libre 3CGM changed that. It gives me glucose insights without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Finger sticks are required if your glucose alarms or readings do not match symptoms, or when you see check blood glucose symbol for the first 12 hours. The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Order for Jennifer C. Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve? Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine? Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year? Oh, really? That's great. Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year? Yeah, you just said that. Did you say I just said that? Yeah, I'm cutting you off. I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.